Hey people, good morning or afternoon, depending on where you at and what you're doing and who you with. This is the BIO live stream. We will be kicking it for a little bit today. I hope everybody is good out there. I know it's a whole lot of craziness happening out in the world. So wherever you at, I hope you and your fam is safe. I hope everything is righteous in your world around you. And today it's more of a laid back topic today, so it might be a whole lot of foolishness. I'm hoping some of my other brothers come on. Peace, Facebook user, since that's all it say. It's Facebook user on the chat. But peace to you, man. Peace with it. Let me just give people a couple more seconds and see what's going on. But today we're gonna talk about the arbitrators of blackness, and it's a like I said, it's more of a it's more of a laid back topic. It's it's still a sort of a serious topic, but it's definitely more of a laid back topic. And at any time, if I'm talking, if somebody in the chats wanna come in and drop drop something maybe that's on their mind, drop a couple lines about what they feel about the subject, please just holler and I'll post the link, the live stream link in the chats so we could all chop it up. But let's start by kind of defining what we mean by being an arbitrator of blackness. Now the definition of arbiter is a person who settles a dispute or has ultimate authority in a matter. And in this case, the dispute and the matter would be blackness. Who black? And and y'all know the kind of conversations that we have to deal with, right? It's like, oh, you mixed or you biracial, so you ain't black. You only date Latinas, so you ain't black. You a Christian, so how you black and you a Christian? Or if you didn't vote for the Democrats, you ain't black, and now see it gets a little it gets a little, the waters get a little muddy though, because you got the biological sense of blackness, then you got the philosophical and social aspect of blackness, right? Like like for instance, you can be blue black from the continent. I'm talking about Congolese black. I'm talking about Sudanese purple black, but you don't do anything to promote, to help advance, to support anything that got to do about black people making some progress, gaining some power anywhere, right? Now that's somebody who I say I don't give a damn how black you is. I don't care if both of your parents is from the heart of Africa. Yo quote unquote blackness is in question, in my opinion, right? If I'm being honest. And then you could have somebody who got two mixed parents, two light-skinned parents, and they brighter than peach, and they like the staunchest, the most hardcore blackity black power person, right? And I think that personally, right, I'm just talking my personal opinion right now. I think that personally, those person are more effective as being quote unquote black, right? However, some people will like push the push the idea that, nah, man, you light skinned, that you ain't all the way black, or and then we can get to the and then when we go to Then when we go to the other parts, though, it gets even a little more murky, right? When you start talking about, wait a minute, how you black or talk this pro-black stuff, but you dating a white girl, especially a white girl, right? People even, it's like the more up the people of color ladder you go, the more leeway people give you. So let's just say the worst, a white person, right? um, then you really seem like, what are you talking about? And I have to raise my hand again, because in all honesty, I'm low key one of them people. Like let me give you an example, right? Let me give you an example. Let's say if you know, a brother or a sister, and you dating a white person, or yeah, you dating a white man or a white woman. And I'm just talking about my personal point of view, just to be clear. If you just a everyday Joe, you just going to work, you raising your family, doing your thing, and you really don't even engage in black issues and stuff. I'm like, all right, like that's your thing. Like it in certain aspects, it like really ruffles my spirit to see it, you know. However, I'm not judging you like because that's your bag, man. You know what I'm saying? That's who you want to rock with. That's who you love is love and all that stuff, right? And I just let it roll. Now, however, if you on some blackety blackety black shit, and then you walking into the circle, and you trying to bring Kathy, and you trying to bring Jeremy, and you trying to bring Luther, all them people, then it's like, hold on, because the basis of black power, outside of the technicalities, right? It starts with the black family, and that's just real. Because how you like period. And then it's interesting because you'll get some people say like they'll say, well, but if they're having the babies with mixed people, they're actually having black babies. And 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 it's just like we like make up these reasons to make it okay, when in actuality, what typically happens, I know, in the side of the country that I'm on, what typically happens is that they have light skinned babies, and then the babies that have babies by another white person, and then eventually the baby literally white. Like I've seen it. Like I have family members who I have literally witnessed that with. So that gets a little funny for me when it comes down to the black issue. So because it is just really hard, right? Right. And that could be me, quote unquote, being an arbiter of blackness, and it's just really, that's just a really, really difficult one, like for me when it comes to the family part. Good morning, good morning. It's morning where I'm at. I'm on the west coast, so I know it's afternoon where y'all at, but I'm looking at some of the comments now. Let's see. I'm gonna address a couple of them. Big brother Baruti always coming with it. I'm China Muhammad, good morning. What's up? Could you explain what is black or being black? Secondly, what is your reaction to the notion that African Americans have mastered being black but not being African? This dude always dropping something, man. That just that's a really good. Both of those are really good. Peace, spirit lifter. Always good to see and hear you, sis. Um, so like I was saying, I think that um oh man, because this is really a broad topic, right? I think, and mind you, this is just my opinion, because guess what? Umoja is not an arbiter of blackness, right? But let me play one on the YouTube live stream, right? Um, so I think that black is simply just a designation of a certain race who are collectively coming from the African continent, and we're easily noticeable by our phonetic features, right? Dark skin, thick hair, thick lips, thick noses, deep voices, right? Like I think that's when you say that's a black person, right? And that's mainly on the West though. You go to other places, like they got different names for them, but it all usually come back to being black, right? Right? Being black is being X in America. Hello, straight up though, Black Messiah. Um, so that's just a short version of like what is black. Now, being black, now this is the interesting part, y'all, because when we think about like what we do in unison, what we do as a collective, and what is being, quote unquote, being Black, right? It's usually, for, in my most scientific way to put it, a bunch of bullshit, like straight up. Let's think about the notion like each one teach one, right? Now, when you think about being Black, first of all, like the media is gonna portray us as like we either thugs, gang members, basketball players, or rappers. Like that's the gist of it. If you go to another country and you meet somebody from that country and you really get close to them and talk to them, and they be honest with you, they will tell you that I thought Black people were like this and you're not like that at all. You probably heard a story like that. You probably have experienced that if you actually like had to work with a non-Black person or had to have some kind of relationship with a non-Black person, and they're in awe because you're so much different than what they thought you were, right? Exactly. So being Black is a range of things. You know, one of the things that I hate when I go into a Black group is when they say, "Well, we're not a monolith," and it's the truth, right? But see, that phrase is always used as an excuse not to be united on one thing and having one shared vision. You feel me? It's like, all right, y'all, how about we all put our money together so that when there's hard times, or when there's a sister coming to the group and maybe she's a single mom, or when there's a brother and he don't have a suit to go to a job interview, like that little Pac can go, well, we're not all a monolith. Well, what the hell do a monolith got to do about us trying to do something for each other and together? So I really hate that, right? I really hate that we're not a monolith of, even though it's a fact, but no race is a monolith. Food, and that's what actually makes us so unique and strong, is that we have such an array of differences, such an array of differences. We got Black cosplay people, we got Black writers, we got Black people who into music, we got Black people who into art. Like we are so different as a people. But however, we share our problems in an extreme monolithic way when it comes down to being Black, and that's just because you look dark. Use a nigga. Let's be real, right? So being black depends on where you coming from. If you want some RBG, Black Power, Black Power, if you ain't training your family how to handle guns, and if you ain't training in hand-to-hand combat, they might say you ain't Black. Let's say if somebody see that like I was saying earlier, somebody see that you worship a Christian religion, you might have some people from Islam saying, well, you ain't Black. And then you might have some people who in the Hebrew Israelites saying both of them groups ain't Black. Then you might have some agnostic Black people saying y'all all following a fake religion and everything, so you ain't Black, right? So I don't think that there is no baseline of being Black outside of us identifying with each other by our skin color and our origin. And me personally, once again, personally, I that's what I look at. And that's what I always try to like preach. Like even before I was on some like we need to create a place of our own on the continent, I would tell us like we need to stop all this bickering about our differences and come together for what we all identify with, and that is being Black in America. Like that's what we all can agree on. It's like we could say, "Aren't you getting tired of this? Aren't you getting tired of this? Don't you see all these police killings? Don't you see all this racism in the workplace and everything else, y'all?" And everybody be like, "Yep, amen, amen, ashe, ashe." And then you say, "Now what we gonna do together to fix it for ourselves?" Everybody gets silent and confused and want to talk about what white people need to do. It's like, stop. We have to stop worrying about white folks. I hope y'all noticed that here at the BAIO too, is that we don't identify as white folks being the solutions of our problem. As in, like, oh, white people are so bad. A, so B, white people need to change. It's like, no, we know that these people isn't for us and that this place isn't for us. So we need to change and get the hell on, right? Okay, but Rudy, like that, literally that question, bro. We could talk the whole hour on just that question, but I'm a move on, and I'm sure that you're gonna drop something else that's gonna have me thinking. I really appreciate your participation, like weekly, bro. You always come getting after it. Let's see what Spirit Lifter say. Like a number of male activists that married non-African. I've searched my heart and mind to reconcile this truth. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And the marriage thing, see, again, if you're, this is actually a really good example. Let's say you know how you would see maybe whatever basketball or football team in your opinion, or you will see a popular actor and you will see them you know, on some kind of show, and then they show that their girlfriend or boyfriend or their wife or husband or something, and you'll notice that they non-black. My heart, my heart is kind of like hurt because what I know is that if something was to happen to that man or woman in this case, that white person or Asian person or Latino person is not going to then say, I got all these millions of dollars. I'm going to reach back out to the black community, because usually that's not what they're going to be doing anyway while they're alive. And for sure, if they pass, all that is just going to go to the white population, to the Mexican population, to the Asian population. So that's actual generational wealth that is never going to see a black family, right? That's what, see, that's the kind of stuff that I think about. And as a person who have been in interracial relationships in the past, right? I know for a fact it is, well, no, I don't know for a fact, because when I was in it, I wasn't on some staunch blackity black shit, right? But once I shifted, like when I had the shift in my consciousness, for lack of a better term, I was in an interracial relationship, and I knew that I wanted to actually do something about everything that was going on. This is back in the Trayvon Martin and all that other stuff that start to happen. I knew that I wanted to do something, and the person who I was with was actually supportive. She was like, "Well, show me," and blah 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 blah. But I was looking like, "Nah, man. Like, like, nah, man. This ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna work because I could see clearly enough to see that no, you're gonna look like a damn fool talking all this black stuff, and then you going home to somebody who's not black, fool." That's me though. Everybody's not like that. I hope y'all can't hear my baby crying, like straight up, because I can hear her. But yeah, man, that one's a hard one. Spirit lifter. Can somebody do something with that girl? My goodness. Um, being black is being X in America. You made me think about some black Messiah. Y'all just gonna get a whole lot of personal stuff from me if y'all haven't heard me, because because some of these things is stirring up some stuff in me, right? So I end up and not even on no NOI stuff, but I end up changing my name. Like I wasn't born with the name Umoja, right? My middle name and last name is my birth name. My current middle name and last name, my name is Umoja Lerone Ortego, right? I was born Lerone, but my last name was a what I identify now as just not my name. You know, I don't say it's a slave name, even though it is. It's completely a white name, one of the white of the white. Some I don't even know what the origin is. I just know that is not my name. And a few years ago, I changed my name legally, and it was because, and mind you, I was a junior. I named my son the same thing. I'm currently working on changing his name. And all I did was take off my last name and then put Umoja as my first name, because that was like my the name that was just like kind of given to me. I like came up with it, but then it stuck in the community. But so that is my legal name. But I got away rid of my last name, and I come from a dad who's so proud of that name and stuff. And I talked to him, right? And I was like, Pop, that name doesn't mean anything to me. You know what I'm saying? Like that name doesn't mean anything to me anymore. And it really didn't though. It wasn't like I was just on some, like, somebody encouraged me. Like, this is all something that like my spirit came up with. It was just really irking me, and it was just literally started to sound disgusting when people would say my name. Like, I love my first name and middle name, Lerone Ortego. Now that's my middle name and last name, right? Because both of those are original. Like, literally, my family made up both of those names, right? So it's like I really have an original, authentic African name now, and it's actually mine. And then the Umoja piece, you know, unity in Swahili, because that's really what I want, is unity with our people, right? So it was like bam, and it is such a freeing feeling not to have that name. Like, I hate that I have kids with that last name. You know what I mean? And but I say that to say that people don't realize the power that our names have, man. And we don't understand that we walking around carrying names of people who enslaved our people. And a lot of our people are proud of that shit. Like, it's actually super sick. Like, seriously, it gets super sick talking about the name thing. And this definitely have something to do about being an arbiter of blackness. However, like the spiritual metaphysical piece about naming is like way powerful, more powerful than we think. We literally are walking around with somebody else's identity 24/7, 365, and wonder why we ask backwards, right? Seriously though. Um, thank you for that, bro. Yeah. I did catch that. I did catch that. Let me see. You got another question, Black Messiah. I don't know where the brothers at. They just leaving me out here. I ain't got no brothers or no BOI sisters on here. I'm gonna talk to them about this. Dang it. But let's see what we got. Why has Africa not mastered being of help or support to her black family in a Black Messiah? Oh, brother. Man, I'm glad that I'm doing this and reading this because usually I'll be on here with the brothers just like bouncing off of stuff and not reading all the comments. But this is a really good one, man. And see these are conversations that we have, FYI, just to be clear, because we don't have any rose color glasses on when it comes to the continent. And bro, I think that you making a point that is like so legit right here. And I remember one time we was having a conversation within the BAIO, and I can't remember what sparked it, but I do remember being in support of a statement. And I remember saying something like, you know what, you know, Africa needs to get it together too, because I know in the West and pretty much worldwide, it's like the diaspora. Those of us who serious really goes hard for Africa, right? But then when you look up, like, the visas and the plane tickets and everything, it's like, man, Africa needs to do more to like make themselves accessible to us. Africa needs to do more to let us know that we're welcome. Now, mind you, let's be clear. I don't know the ins and outs of every African country. I know that a lot of them have made dumbass deals with, I can't call them dumb because I'm not in that position, pardon me, but they've made scandalous deals with the countries that have ruined them as a country, like trade deals and things of that nature, that just makes it really hard for them to just maintain. They basically been getting hustled. And see, in my mind, like, because I grew up, like maybe some people here, but I grew up in the streets, like, for real, right? So I think of stuff like, fuck your deal. This is this is a new deal. The prices has changed. But see, I'm not a politician. I'm not an economist. I'm not none of that. I don't know how that is, but I do know that that the militaries is lots of the militaries are trained by non-African people. The weapons are given to them, so they're probably not in a position of absolute power to actually run themselves. So I can't be too harsh on it. But with little things like for African Americans in particular, or the African diaspora in particular, make the visas cheaper. Even something like that, like just make it more accessible to us. And I think that that's a real thing. I think that that's a real thing. Is that, oh yeah, sorry y'all. Let me send you the link. I thought that it was already in. There you go, Bari. Somebody came. What's up, brother?
Oh,
It's good.
never mind.
Somebody came over here. Yeah. I didn't create the stream, so I didn't think about that the link wasn't already posted. But
Yeah, yeah. I went online and I saw that the link
there
was
you
in.
go.
But yeah, so I'm
What's up,
in.
Ronan? But yeah,
Peace, Ronan.
But yeah, Black Messiah was making a good point. I was kind of rambling about the fact that like Africa, like by and large, is like not extremely, or let's say easily accessible to the African diaspora, and it's like we do most of the going hard for Africa as opposed to Africa going hard to like try to get it. You will hear it though every now and then. You know they got the Wakanda village that they want to do and stuff like that. And I don't want to minimize that, right? I just don't want to make the small exceptions the rule because we like to do that. Talk about blackness. We'll say, well, what about them? And it'll be literally like two or three people out of 60 million, and we'll try to make it seem like that's what happens. It's like, nah, by and large, it ain't like a whole bunch of Wakanda villages being offered up to us.
Yeah, so
But
there's a couple
go
of
ahead.
points. There's a couple of points. I'm really about to bring like maybe 3 points. But
Go ahead.
first of all,
It's all you.
when it comes to the arbiter of blackness, I find it very frustrating because people do this hypocritical or this inconsistent definition of blackness. So blackness is depending on how you define it. Some people use genetically, some people use phenotypically, some people say historically. It ultimately depends on how you define blackness and what you define as black. For example, we've had this conversation numerous times. Some people define blackness as strictly you're 100% black, and if you're not 100% black or 90 or more percent black, you're not considered black. Some people say if you're majority black, like 51% or more, you're black. It just depends on how you define blackness. And I
Mm-hmm.
personally don't think, considering historically, I know that a lot of people like using the word mulattoes or mulattoes, which refers to mixed
Right.
race. A lot of these people were sellouts. They weren't for the black cause. When a lot of the major black people who pioneered stuff into modern day were mixed race and or of lighter skin complexion. So the fact that you're demonizing mixed race and lighter skinned people when the reality of it is let's not get it twisted. I love my African brothers and sisters, but it was your African brothers and sisters that sold you into slavery. It wasn't no mixed light skinned person that did that. It was a dark skinned, fully black person that sold you down the river and sold you to America, to the Caribbean, to South America, and made you suffer. So are y'all not gonna hold them accountable like you do these light skinned and mulattoes? And let's not
Damn.
forget. And let's not
Damn,
forget.
Jabari
And
came
let's
in
and let's not.
shooting.
I
Jabari
know
came
I be
in
getting
shooting.
frustrated on this topic because are we gonna talk about the fact that there were a lot of free black people who were keen on keeping some black people enslaved because they didn't want to be associated with them? Because we completely forget about this. Majority of free black people were in the South, not in the North. A lot of free black people were in New Orleans. They was in Atlanta. They was in Charleston. They was in the upper South. In the upper South, which is Virginia, Maryland, North Carolina. There were a lot of free black people roaming the streets during that time. So are we gonna hold them accountable, saying y'all was free back in the day? You know, y'all could have done this, that, and the third, or or you're gonna blame? Oh well, see, some of them were light skinned or they were quadroons, which is 3/4 black, 3/4 white, 1/4 black. Are we gonna use that? Please, can we stop this? Because y'all be acting like dark skinned black people were the most militant pro black people on the planet when the reality of it is you had a lot of dark skinned black people who were cooning, who were stepping and fetching, doing a two-step shuffle, and there were plenty of light skinned and mulatto slaves that were doing uprisings. They were poisoning the animals. They were getting beats from their masters. So let's not pretend. Let's not pretend. The first president of Liberia, the first president of Liberia is literally 7/8 white and 1/8 black. Literally. The first president of Liberia was literally 7/8 European, 1/8 African. And yet he still said black people were not going to be free in America, so we need to go back to Africa. Meanwhile, you had somebody like a Frederick Douglass or even some black people who were fully black that said America was their home. So who's really black? Who's really black? I want to know. Is Joseph Jenkins Roberts, the man who was light skinned, 7/8 white and 1/8 black, more pro black? Or was it the, I rest his soul. I got respect for what he said, but he was David Walker was talking all this Black Power American stuff, but refused to support going back to Liberia. Who's really
All
more
right.
pro black?
Bari, I want you to speak on because what you're saying I totally agree. I want you to speak on, if you can, or have some people in the chat think about, like how do you feel, or what are your thoughts about, like, okay, you could be blue black, or you could be light skinned, or everything in between, right? Caramel complexion to Cherokee red, right? But how do you feel about, it's about what you do for and with black African people in mind, as opposed to just you looking dark, you just being dark skinned. And it's basically what you're saying, but like talk about it just like more like a general sense, like you giving great examples, right? But like, what are you doing for black people? I don't give a damn that you look black, that you walk around with a dashiki on. We could look at all the spoofs and comedy shows where the brother have a dashiki on and then the white girl come up and give him a kiss, right? So it's like not the thought or just the look of black, but like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? What are you doing for the advancement of black people, basically?
Yeah, yes, and I will go further into that, and to speak on the light skinned people. Excuse me, my bad. You had there was one Liberian president. He was 1/16th black, literally 1/16. But this man could have easily passed himself as white and said he was white, and he still moved back to Africa and became one of the presidents of Liberia and married a dark skinned black woman. So who's really pro black? Because he did, even though you could literally say he was lily white, he still got a black woman and created black children because he saw himself as black. He endured slavery, he endured the brutal beatings, he endured being sold away, and yet he still said, you know what, I'm a black man. Nah, these are my people. We was in this together. We I may look like them. I may have light skin. I may have, blue eyes, or my hair may be lily white. But at the end of the day, I'm still a black man. And he did that. So, like you said, Amor, is what you do. He said, but none went harder than Garvey, though. Now, Garvey was a whole different level. But Garvey was, one of the things I loved about Garvey was Garvey picked up on his predecessors, because Garvey's whole movement was basically the culmination of predecessors. Your Henry McNeil Turners. He was going just as hard as Garvey was. You had your Benjamin Pap Singleton. You had your Joseph Jenkins Roberts. You had your Henry Adams. You had all of these people who were the predecessors to Garvey, and Garvey really was the one that carried it home. And like I tell people, if you're going to go to Liberia with us next year, if you know where Firestone is, there's a Firestone plantation. It's a rubber plantation. If you know where Firestone Plantation is, that's the same land that Garvey was supposed to get. So you're going to see that when we go in May, that land that where Firestone Plantation was where Garvey's land to build the new city was supposed to be. And of course, it didn't happen. But that also goes on to blackness, right? There were a lot of mixed race and really light skinned black people that supported Garvey. And Garvey once infamously said, he said, oh, well, they were race traders. And they made a point in the analysis, the vast majority of mixed race and lighter skinned black people who were literally almost completely European in their DNA, didn't pass themselves off as white. That's an over exaggeration. The vast majority of black people have European blood because your auntie, your grandmama, your great great grandma, your great grandmother or father married somebody who was mixed race or quadroon, octoroon, and that's why you got European blood in you. Most black people were not sleeping with a slave master. I just want to get that out the way. But going on what you were talking about, I want people to read the book Light, Bright, Light, Bright, and Damn Near White. Black Leaders Created by the One Drop Rule. And it talks about how these black leaders, because of these black people, or you could technically say genetically white people, who, because they had one drop of black blood, were considered black, they went hard in the paint for black people. You had a man by the name of, I think his name was Timothy Thomas Fortune. He was one of Garvey's editors. Was literally, I mean, hold on, let me show y'all. So we We not joking. This was a man who was literally the leader or one of the supporters of Gari. If I can share this with you, Moja, this man was one of the editors of the
Do
Negro
it.
World. One of the editors of the Negro World. This is him, Timothy Thomas Fortune. Literally, that was a man of the. Literally, this was the man who was an editor of the Marcus Garvey's Negro World. Now, y'all look at that face. Y'all can see this. Some people would ask, is he even black? Yes, he's black. He identified himself as black. But it's what you do. It's what you do.
Hang on, Barry. Baruti. So what were you referring to, Baruti? What are you referring to? And then he says, so are the Black Messiah says, so are we denying the powers of melanin?
No, not at all. We're not denying the
Not a
powers of
debate.
melanin.
Hang on,
Yeah,
let me
we're
finish
not.
to reading it. Not to debate or argue, just noting, excuse me, the established science of melanin in the pineal gland. Yeah, good point. That is a good point. And I think too that Black Messiah, that's something that has to be exercised and tapped into, because again, if it was just based on melanin, then all of the blackity black people would be blackity black, and I'm just saying, I'm saying that facetiously and like playfully, but I'm really serious, because a lot of people that are just black ain't worth shit like straight up. So all that melanin popping and everything, yes, this is a fact, but that has to be tapped into, and it has to be exercised, and it has to be intentional, not just, oh, my melanin popping and so everything is going, because that's just not the reality. Let's see, Baruti made his
Yeah,
he
Baruti, you can come on and talk. You can come on and talk. He says, "Do you want me to come on and talk?" You can come on and talk.
oh man, you really can't. Can you put the link into the chat so he can
Yes,
get it?
yes, I can. Hold on, give me a second.
Oh, absolutely not. No, that wasn't the idea of the stream, was the talk about
Yeah,
skin
it wasn't to
complexion.
talk about skin color. It's talking about what you do for the community. That's the point. When people, that's what arbiters of blackness. They do it based strictly off of skin tone, color, and features, not understanding one somebody's background, and two, what they wanted to do. I mean, you had plenty of black people, like I said, who was going hard in the paint. Like, that's what this is about. Stop focusing so much on somebody's skin tone when somebody went hard in the paint for black people. Example, and this is the last person I'm gonna bring before if Baruti gets on. We can talk about. This was the 10th president of Liberia, one of the presidents I will be covering in the Liberian presidential series. Y'all look at that.
This was the
Hmm.
10th president
Look
of
at this
Liberia,
man.
one of the presidents I will be covering in the Liberian
Have you,
presidency.
Baruti,
This was
Baruti?
yes.
Baruti, you need to mute your mic. We can, yeah.
Go off of yeah. Click off of YouTube on your other device or on your other tab, so it won't be echoing. Now you're great. Like because once you come into the he disappeared. Yeah. Baruti, once you come into the StreamYard, it's gonna be like you're on both at the same time, so it's gonna be a gross echo. So
Yeah,
so
but
so 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 go out of YouTube and just click on the geez, I can't even talk.
yeah, get out of
Click on the
YouTube,
live
click on
stream,
the
the
link. Yeah.
StreamYard link, and then get out of YouTube, so you just on the StreamYard. But yeah, go ahead. I just wanted
Yeah,
to.
this was no, that was just the last thing I wanted to say. Literally, this is one of the presidents. Literally was born into slavery. Literally, this is how he looked like. So we need to stop basing it off of appearance. Literally, this man you could say is literally like a white man. You could put this man up in front of the average white person, they might not know the difference. But he black though. That's
See,
probably something.
And my thing is, personally, I wouldn't want his ass being a representative. That's just me. I'm just being honest, right? I
But
would
they
not want
weren't.
like, yeah, I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying though, I still have a mind that's like if I'm being honest, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't want somebody who's light, bright, and almost white being a representative of our black nation. Personally, unless they was clearly the best option, and that's being really judgmental of me, but I'm just being honest, right?
Yeah.
Brother
And
Baruti,
this is
man,
the
it's so
important
good to
thing.
have you on.
Here's the thing that's important though. There's a
Well,
difference
thank you.
between being a representative and being the pinnacle of it. There's two
There you
different
go.
ways. Though you can be a representative, but you're not the pinnacle of blackness, the ideal of blackness. Blackness comes in many different shades of forms. But when you say what is the ideal or what is the pinnacle, it's different than saying I'm a representative of blackness. So make that point distinction. But go ahead, Baruti.
Oh, okay. Well, good. Let's see. Good morning to Moja, and good afternoon to Jabari. Can you all hear me clearly?
Yes, sir. Perfectly.
Okay,
We can hear
good.
you.
Well, I'm happy to be on a platform with you all. Thanks for inviting me on. I'll sort
Of
of
course.
say what I meant. What about Blackness? I had no idea exactly what was meant by the arbiters of Blackness, but the questions that I asked Moja earlier about black and being black and what it meant for African Americans to supposedly have mastered blackness versus not being African. I'll tell you what I mean. Well, first of all, when we study blackness, as in, the 1960s idea about blackness, I think the notion was that blackness would be an idea of us versus them. I said us versus them. I mean, if you are talking about white people, or in Swahili or one of the African languages, you might say Mzungu people, us as a group or race as different from them in characteristics, thought patterns, some physical features, but really more of a thought pattern and idea. And I think that was the thing that was being, concentrated on. So this notion about blackness being like an abstract was the idea, but that we needed something more tangible to define whatever the us was as a people. So when I talk about being African, I don't think of being African as being something that is a reaction to white people defining themselves as white, and then we defining ourselves as us versus them, but African being something of a way of life, a thought pattern, and a philosophy that stands on its own, that does not have anything to do with the way of life of white people, the philosophy of white people, or the being of white people, wherever they are on the earth, as it was at the beginning of time before white people existed. So when we think of culture, I think of, yes, a way of life based upon 7 major areas: ethos, which is your personality; history; social development; politics; creative arts; mythology; and economics. Those are the basic 7 ideas of culture, as agreed upon by a lot of sociologists in that regard, and we can apply it to ourselves. And so, from my vantage point, I think we have, in this society, in the United States society, we have mastered blackness, as in like us versus them, or a reaction to white supremacy domination, whether it be protests or our thought patterns and our responses to how we have reacted to oppression as in a fight against that. True. But I'm not sure that we have mastered Africanness, which is our ability to truly grasp the 7 areas that I talked about as a way of healthy living for ourselves in a way that promotes a kind of a peace, PACE, amongst ourselves, that we're moving forward as a developmental group that is pursuing our own levels of happiness, pursuing our own levels of comfort and development in everything that we're doing. So as I hear your ideas during the different weeks, and you talk about Liberia, what I see and what you're saying is that Liberia is more than just a space or a place that will be engaged, but Liberia will represent mentally and culturally a wellspring that allows us to have our inner peace, as anywhere on the continent would be, away from an environment that is based upon race, racism, and the negativism against being African, but a way that we breathe freely and naturally and assume who we are as African people, or I would like to say in a more cultural sense, as people of Bantu origin. That's what I mean.
Okay, and I agree with you. Before we touch back on there, some people left some really good comments that I just want to run through a couple of them. I want to get back to African Media Design Labs asking what should the rules be in 2021 or 2022 in this case. But Black Messiah says it's just like saying just because you Japanese. No, he says it's like saying just because you Japanese doesn't make you a master of karate. Love that. Reliable said, if it's about what you do, well, what are we going to call any given white person who dedicates their whole life to a black cause? I don't know none of them white people, first of all. And second of all, we're talking about people who could identify as being black, what they do as black people. We're not talking about any other race. But I do get your point. Your point is very well taken and very well served, but it's kind of straw man-ish a little bit. You must make a decision to commit yourself to the practice and or discipline. Absolutely. One example is Kevin and Ned for decades dedicated. We don't care about the Canadian Holocaust and indigenous privilege. I don't. Sorry, I'm not going to say we, but I really don't give a damn about them people. I get your point you're trying to make, but we're not talking about non-black people. That's all. I just want to be clear. I'm not just throwing your points under the bus, Andrew. You are making good points.
Because it's like you coming off as being very cruel. And
No,
but
I was just saying me. Like I don't care about the Canadian like at all. Me personally, I'm not saying that it's not an attack on him at all. He's making good points, but we're talking about black people, not like white people. But I get what he's saying. I just want to be clear. I'm just trying to run through these because a lot of them was popping up. But yeah, I'm totally not, bro. Please don't take it like that. Straight up. I think black was simply the most natural. I like this one. I think black was simply the most natural characteristic used to characterize a particular group of people who at the time struggled to identify their true identity. Okay, good. Thank you, Reliable. Yeah. I wasn't trying to be real. I was just trying to hurry up and run through them because y'all leaving some dope ass comments. And I didn't want to just not let people see them or let y'all be heard. But you can come on too, man. If any of y'all want to talk, I see big brother Hollipton stepped into the building, but y'all can come on. Don't be shy,
I'm about
man.
to say, Reliable Andrew, if you want to come on, you can come on.
I do have a couple of comments. I do have a couple of comments, but I'm not sure if I should make them at this point. Is that okay?
Yeah. I mean, if you want to do it later, we can do it later.
Okay. All right. I mean, there were a few comments that came up on the screen. Like, for example, what you think about the white person that dedicates their whole life to blackness. For example, again, this term as an abstract whiteness, somebody who identifies as white, who probably legitimately wants to dedicate their whole life to blackness, probably doesn't want to identify as being white. So, whiteness in general, from their constructs of whiteness, has to do with supremacy, domination over other peoples that they consider unlike them. Darker people, dark people, African people, Bantu people, and anybody else that they don't consider white. So is the parameter of these terms that has, I think, become a problem. And I think that we as a folk in the United States, and I'm concentrating in the United States because, to me, the United States represents a giant settler colony of which the European peoples, that were initially a British stock, identified themselves as white in order to give a general idea of bringing in other types of white people that may not be considered white, but eventually, may not be considered British, but eventually could be called Caucasian as a block group. So the problem for us has been that we have been labeled by them, So even if we represented various ethnic groups of African people who were brought here, before these current nations in Africa had the colonial boundaries and associated names that they have now. That's the first thing. And therefore, what do we call ourselves other than being slaves defined by Caucasian people? We didn't seek to simply develop linguistic terms to define ourselves based upon our collective Africanness. So everything is a response or an acceptance of what they have called us: Negro, nigger, colored. Then we said, okay, well, we're going to take black or darkness and then make that positive, but not any collective word from our original languages that tended to speak to our character, our ethos as a collective in this new space. But they did that for themselves. So if they use the word Caucasian, they understand that may include someone who's considered an Arab or a Jew, or somebody who is considered Scottish or Dutch or Welsh or German or whatnot. And they understand these fine lines of under, like subcategories, but then they find themselves as a block group that speak to some kind of geography for themselves. And I think these are deep topics because this is where I think a lot of the confusion comes about, that we may realize that we came from Africa, but we don't have a bearing on what that kind of Africanness means. And therefore, we're trying to either react or kind of sort of position ourselves to define ourselves based upon how the ex-slave master has defined us in this space, where all these other countries that were slave colonies as well would be, Cuba, Barbados, Jamaica. These places were not places that the so-called white person continued to be the predominant force. So whatever the country was named, these people defined themselves underneath the naming of the country, and therefore they have a reality about who they are, where we exist in a predominantly white geospace and are defined not by the destination of ourselves, but by what the white man says that they are.
So how do we solve that?
White person.
I was about to say, because my response, everything I agree with Baruti is correct. But to answer the Black Messiah's question, why do we specifically have a problem focusing on ourselves? And why do we always have to integrate ourselves? Because you live in America. If we lived in Liberia, blackness would be the default. Right. That's the thing. Blackness would be the default. When you live in a country like America, you have to integrate yourself because blackness is not the norm, right? You notice how when you go on Google, you have to specifically put black this. We always say black love, right? If you lived in Africa, nobody in Africa says black love. They just say love because blackness is the default already. Blackness is the pinnacle already. So we're having
go
ahead.
How do you get blackness to be the default? This is a rhetorical question, but I just want to make sure we all on the same page. How do you get blackness to be the default? Do you get blackness to be the default in America?
No,
you get the hell away from these people.
Define yourself, though. Slaves and dogs are defined by others. Free people define themselves. So it's not
free.
What it's not what
we ain't free though.
No, it's not what. No, the mindset of freedom has to be first. You have to define yourself of what you are first. So if black people think of themselves as American as opposed to like, okay, I'm a citizen just of the U.S. if you want to say it that way, and they think of white people as American, we could define ourselves by some African term, and that's who we are. And
why haven't we done that though?
No, we haven't.
Why?
Because we thought of ourselves as an overall as an appendage of what the settler called themselves.
But why?
Because we currently, because of white supremacy domination, don't have an understanding of the name of the group has to embody the philosophy of the 7 underpinning areas of culture that I mentioned at the beginning of my coming on the show.
I'm African design media. To answer, he said it's like someone's scared to be independent. It's what African media done by being the dominant demographic. That's how you deal with the situation by being the dominant demographic.
Can I say something? Can I say something? Because I think a lot of times we make this shit more complicated than it actually is.
For no reason.
I remember the conversation in the conscious community was, we don't speak an African language. Well, that's because we live in fucking America. And if you want to create another language where you use that, and not only just create a language that we use that's different than English, it has to be a language that we can use in business, and we have to be fluent in it. Are you going to do that in America? You're not going to create no lingua franca in America. It's not going to fucking happen. It can happen if you have control over your land, though. If you're the dominant group in your land. If you have a mixture of other African languages and whatever, it's like a cosmopolitan African society, yeah, it'll happen. Mm-hmm. You can create a new lingua franca. You ain't doing this shit in America.
And that's the excuse me, Barry, I'm gonna be really quick. And that's the most frustrating thing is that we'll have all these scholarly articles and all these ideas and everything, and it's like, yeah, but you in America. Like that just puts a halt to so much stuff because America is organized as such is that they're going to give you all the benefits and all the pleasantries and all of the luxuries of America to get your ass to be stuck. Go ahead, Barry.
Actually, before Jabari says something, I just want to say I agree with everything Baruti just said. I have no disagreement with him.
Exactly.
At all.
I agree with everything.
I agree with everything that he said. What I'm trying to say is we can't sit here in America thinking that we're going to be black and be African in America. It just ain't going to fucking happen, at least not in this current form. If we can get a base of operations that we can control outside of this country, then we got a better chance of that happening.
I agree.
Logistically.
I agree.
And but to think that we're going to come up, I'm sorry, let me just complete this. The reason why I drive this point home is because we're sitting up here. And I use this analogy because I just think that it's appropriate. We're in the crack house, surrounded by crackheads, talking about eating vegan. Oh, we gonna we just want purified. You're surrounded by crackheads. You don't tell a woman if she's in an abusive relationship, listen, we're gonna get you together. You're gonna be able to do this and do that. We're gonna make you a functional. Yet we're gonna keep the guy who's whooping your ass in the same house with you. This is a no fucking brainer. We need socioeconomic and political control over a piece of fucking territory, and it ain't gonna be in fucking America. At best, you can have a satellite nation here. At best, you can have an Africa town here, or Liberia town, or whatever here. At best. Don't you notice how everybody else uses America like the whore that it is? Other nations come here, set up shop, make money, take it back to their nation. They do business and commerce here, but they don't consider themselves American.
Yeah, and that's what
They
we should.
use
That's
this
what we should do.
place.
That's what we should
We
do.
should do. That's what I'm saying. But we keep talking. We keep refusing to acknowledge the fact that we need to control a piece of territory.
And to add to your point, and to add to Hollis' point, when people ask, well, why can't Black people focus on ourselves? Like African Media Design Lab said, and I'm going to go further, we're not the dominant demographic. Well, we're in our own nation. I'll give an example. South Africa. South Africa is majority Black. And I'm subscribed to their SABC news channel. Here's some of the news channels. South Africa weather. Discussion on coalition government formed in Cedarburg municipality. It says, talking about a story of what happened in the Western Cape, how to address the police issue, Black Friday. This is all relating to South Africa. Why? Because it's their nation. When I live in my own nation, I can focus on my needs because my nation comes first. When I live in America, well, America has to come first because I live here. We can't just separate ourselves and think we're just going to completely distance ourselves from American society. We don't control the legislator. We don't control the executive branch. We don't control the judicial branch. So therefore, everything that you do is going to relate to other groups of people in America, which is why we can't exclusively focus on ourselves like if we were in Liberia. If we were in Liberia, we could focus on ourselves. We could.
My point is this. My point is this. Why are we fronting like that's what we want to do when we really don't want to fucking do it? I'm tired of people talking about, oh, we need to, this like you want to be in America, but you want to live this Black separate African life in America. You don't want to fucking do it. Because if you did, we wouldn't even have an argument about Liberia. People want to be here. They want to be here, live in this place, live in the infrastructure of America, benefit from all the first world luxuries and accommodations that America provides, and you don't want to have your own shit. So why are we talking about, we can do this and we can do that and we can, come on, man. Nobody really believes it, because if you did, we would be talking about going to overseas to our nation and establishing that. That's my point. I'm saying the whole conversation is bullshit.
Well, I don't think the whole conversation is a wash.
I would say for the most part, but Rudy, I don't doubt you, because I know you've been around us. I don't doubt you at all. But the people that's kicking this shit, I have serious reservations about whether they for real or not.
Right, but hold up. If you would allow me, I want to tell you how I agree with you, but I want to add something to it that I don't think gets talked about too much, if I may. Okay, so I think you raise a great point about, okay, look at all these other groups of people and how they use the U.S., as you say, for the horror that it is, but they have their own place and space of which they go. Okay, fine. And you say that we could be, at best, okay, a satellite nation here with, a ground root in Africa. I agree. Okay, and I agree with you and others that have talked before that it may not have to be, hey, everybody repatriate, in this case, in your case, to Liberia. It might be 10,000, it might be whatever. But somehow we need to be engaged with Liberia and the continent, forming this satellite community that you say here with an anchor bed in Africa. I think that needs to be the case. Now, my thing would be also that while the bulk of the group might be here, we need to definitely focus on culture and the 7 layers of culture that I talked about, so it prepares your mind and continues your mind as you develop engagement on the continent. So we can utilize whatever resources that might be here in a satellite community space, but we still have an anchor bed on the continent. So the anchor bed on the continent would be repatriation in some way. It could be dual citizenship. It could be people, having businesses here that interconnect, etc. So we don't disavow trade. We don't disavow repatriation, but we make use of our resources in a network fashion wherever we are. That's how I would, kind of like to talk about it. I think that you talk about it that way, but I wanted to sort of present it in a way in which I'm talking about the satellite nation, but what it will take for the satellite nation to operate better within this space as we still build an anchor on the continent as well.
Well, I see that I highlighted a comment. The Black Messiah says, first you have to get your house in order, then you're able to best determine how to utilize other houses. I agree 1,000%, but I guarantee you, people think that the house that we got to get in order is America.
Mm-hmm.
That's
maybe they mean us. Maybe they mean us, not America. Some may mean that, but they may mean us as a folk within this country.
Well, they got to be specific because I'm not in the vagaries no more. When you say house, where's the house at? Where is it physically located?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And to go to your point, I want to. There was this post by the Black to Africa movement. It's Black to Africa movement, and it says prior to 1905, Las Vegas was just a desert. Today, it is one of the most renowned destinations for gambling and entertainment in the world. Just a few decades ago, Dubai was also just a desert. Today, it is one of the top tourist destinations in the world. Myself and others have great ideas for how countries all over Africa can be revitalized and brought to similar stature, but such plans will take enormous unity on the part of Black people worldwide to make it all happen. Let's work on building trust and unity so we can do big things together, shall we? I'll let
Anybody
y'all
want to comment?
Does anybody disagree with building unity?
So here's the deal. Here's the deal, y'all. Peace. I agree completely with the whole unity aspect, but see what I like to do whenever there's some philosophy brought up, an analogy, a wish, anything that's brought up, I look at what's going on physically in real time, in real life. And what I see is a bunch of bullshit. Even the people who do all the talking about, come on, let's come together. And honestly, you don't even hear unity as being a talking point as it used to be just 10 years ago. Unity was still a big topic, even though people was full of shit and had no intentions on unifying. Now it's more like equity and inclusion. Those are the pop words for Black people now. That's what people are talking about, is staying here and being equal with these people. We're not really talking about unity and unifying. Like you can have people like I personally, and obviously I have a bias, but I still personally think that the BAIO has the best idea for black people. And I'll give you an example of how unity actually fucking works, right? A personal example. If I was on some just me and my family stuff, Liberia wouldn't be my first choice to go to. It'll probably be somewhere in East Africa, South Africa. I hope y'all hearing me, right? However, unity is saying, hang on, man, but my brothers and my sisters in the BAIO, I have learned to love these people. And then we have Liberia that's already a nation. If we all agree to this, then damn it, Umoja is down. That's fucking unity, man. That's sacrifice. That's what people who serious do. Not sit up there now. You'll have a whole group of people saying, yeah, we want to go back to Africa and go back to Africa. And then we say, hey, y'all, we already making connections in Liberia. Here's the historical part of it. We already have this place. We don't have to go anywhere else and blah, blah, blah. No, man, I think we should look at Namibia and Nigeria and all this other stuff instead of saying, okay, I will make this sacrifice because this is what's going to be ours. Now that's real stuff. So when people talk all this unity stuff and say what we need to do back to being an arbiter, I need to see what you're doing. Fuck what you saying, man. We've been talking for a long time. You can say all the right stuff. What is you doing? Straight up.
Well,
and to go to your point,
sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I'm saying what I witnessed from the three of you, I believe it was last week, with the conversation, I think, with the Black Messiah, was I witnessed Ubuntu from you all, which was great. And I made sure that I commented on that. What I witnessed was he was a brother who was trying to communicate some ideas. But when he said training, the panel of you all may have thought that initially meant military training, but he wasn't really talking about that. He was talking about a mindset of how we approach, coordination. But in the wisdom and, of you all, you heard the brother out and had him to come on the program. And then he was able to explain himself more, where the miscommunication, was ceased. And then it was kind of harmony. And then you all were big enough to say, hey, I apologize for, missing what you were saying. That to me is the basis somewhat of Ubuntu in building not only unity, but an understanding of what other people are saying. That's what I witnessed on the show. I thought that was very positive. So I think that a philosophy like Ubuntu put into practical measure will, to Moses' point, help to build the kind of unity that you may express. Not just the idea of, okay, let's do this, but what ways can we build, community? So I'd like to hear from you all about what ways you think we can build community, so that if that's the basis of moving forward, then how do we do that, knowing we have other strategies in place to do other things on a tangible level?
I think there's a couple things. The very first thing I want to do is address Moses' point, and then I'll just point Baruti extensively. So to speak to Moses' point, I was on the same train as he was before I got on the Liberia training back in 2017, 2018. When I said I wanted to go back to Africa, but I wanted to go to the Congo. I made it specifically clear. That's why I changed my name to Jabari. I started learning Swahili. I wanted to go to the Congo. That was my personal choice. I wanted to go to the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Republic of Congo, and then become a Congolese citizen. That was originally my plan. And then now when I realized, okay, well, Liberia is already established. We already have a nation and it has a history behind it. Let me focus on this country. Same thing in South Africa. I wanted to move to South Africa because while I've been there, it's very familiar and I could easily integrate into the society. But that's my personal choice. But if I'm thinking of a nation of our own and one that has a connection to us, it'd be Liberia. So that's what I'm putting all my attention on. Bringing to Moses' point of unity, understanding what's the objective. I was like, Liberia is here regardless. It's my country. It may not be in the standard that I want it to be, but it's my country. And it's my job to help develop it, to help nurture it, and to help care for it. So that's addressing Moses' point. To address Barudi's point, you can have different agendas. But here's the thing I think people got to understand. There has to be we have to be
a shared vision.
Priority. A shared vision, and most of all, priorities. What do I mean by priorities? There's something called primary, secondary, tertiary. Okay. Our primary goal is the establishment in Liberia. Our secondary goal would be establishing satellite communities in America. Our tertiary objectives would then be to start establishing satellite communities in other regions of the globe. But that's what would need to happen when it comes to organizing and doing things. Differentiating between primary, secondary, and tertiary. Yes, satellite communities are a goal of ours, but they're not the primary goal. They are secondary or tertiary. Because if our primary goal is a nation state in Liberia, and we also say that our primary goal is a satellite nation or satellite towns, then we really can't do what we want to do. And Black Messiah, that would also say the glass is half empty, because you're focused on half on this, half on this. You have to have a primary goal and then a secondary goal so that we can then, so that's my way of dealing with it.
I have a small pushback on what you just said, Jabari. See, I'm not convinced that different Black people who may want to concentrate on different parts of the continent for engagement necessarily cancel out or shortchange or short out say your goal of making Liberia a satellite. I mean,
Can
sorry,
I
making
can,
Liberia
can I address
a hub.
can I address
And
what you just said? I
well,
just want to address what you just said.
Okay.
He didn't say that. And I think that this
Okay.
is what the problem is. It's like
Okay.
I'm really seriously trying to see what the bone of contention is, because you said that he said it doesn't cancel out. Of course
I'm saying
not.
I don't think. Okay, but let me. Okay, well, he was saying about primary, secondary, and tertiary goals, right?
Right.
And I said that there might be people who want to, do that in Liberia, and I don't have any problem with that. But then some people might want to go to the Congo, some people might want to go to Rwanda or South Africa or whatnot. But I think that all of these can function collectively as long as the overall spirit is that we believe that we're African people and we want to engage the continent on multiple different ways. Those all can interact. I think the major problem is that the idea about engaging with Africa and that we're an African people is small in the mindset of most of us. So that's where I see the problem. Not so much of the problem about where it is, about whether we're concentrating on Liberia as being the hub, or whether some people want to concentrate on Liberia as being a hub and other people individually want to go other places. I think all of those can be done. I just don't think that we have the Pan-African mindset to want to engage with Africa.
I agree.
Wait. Who are we talking about, though?
Yeah, I'm about to say, because we agree with what you're saying.
Well,
who's
I'm
the
saying
people
the
that don't
problem
have
that you would have, not just you individually, but I'm saying these ADOS groups, or FBA, or any of these other black people who say themselves to be the black aboriginals or whatnot.
And therein lies the problem.
All of these groups.
Now I understand why we're going through this.
Yeah, I'm about to say
all of these groups are people who don't really see themselves as African and don't want to really engage in a kind of a Pan-African idea about engaging with the continent on some kind of level. And I think that is, to me, is the source of the problem, not specifically any BAIO objectives regarding Liberia as a hub for us. But I could be wrong, but that's what I see.
I don't understand why they're even included in this conversation.
Because the mindset of these groups affect the overall mindset of the so-called African American people overall. In other words, the way that most people are thinking, they would be more so influenced by what they have to say versus what you have to say. Because what you're speaking to as nationalism and what most of the people kind of believe in general is basically some form of integration or just acceptance. And so therefore, any group that's talking about something that sounds like integration, regardless of its varied layers, are going to have more of a mass appeal. So we're going to have to figure out a way to develop more ideas about Africanness or Pan-Africanness to put ourselves in a space in which what you're saying flows naturally about what people would believe, even if people have various tenets of the same thing: Congo, Liberia, South Africa, Rwanda, wherever it is. That's all I'm trying to say here.
To address your point about the FBA ADOS, I think the issue with that primarily lies in is that we have to first of all have a platform. We don't have a platform yet. So because we don't have a platform yet, we can't counteract what they're saying. Secondly, a lot of the Back to Africa videos that you see on YouTube and that have even reached mainstream media like CBS and Black News. Many of the comments that you read are from Black Americans, and they're not opposed to going back to Africa or see themselves as African. We just give the ADOS more credence than what they are. I mean, did you see the ADOS conference? There was a whole tension between FBA and ADOS because ADOS had a conference and not many people showed up to the conference at all. So we need to stop giving them more credence than what they actually are, number one. And number two is you just have to lay your case out. Because if you're able to prove your case and prove your point, then people are going to follow it because they see your vision. Ultimately, that's where it comes out. And also just breaking it down to them. What does nationhood mean? What are the incentives of nationhood? And this is what we can do to provide it.
Yeah, it's a lot to unpack with that because there's some stuff I just flat out disagree with. I disagree that if you put our argument and our position next to their position, that they would have the popular one. I disagree with that. The only thing, because they have a bigger microphone.
No, not just
exactly. I was gonna say that exactly because I was just watching a video on a man, and y'all may heard of him, but Obsidian, and he was having the same debate. And I'll read one of the comments from one of the people who was watching the whole debate. It was, are Black Americans going to succeed in America? It says right here, can Black people prosper as Americans? That was the debate. And one of the person who was on our channel a week
What
ago
is that? It's like an alarm going off or something.
Okay.
The fact that we've shifted, not on this panel, but the fact that over time, in the last 5 years or so, that if you notice in the media and in conversation, if you notice even how there's been a shift in even the terminology, that people used to use the term African American more, but now it's Black American more. That shows a regression in thought pattern already. Just even that, even though I'm not really a person that's tremendously satisfied with the term African American, but to go from Black to African American for the reasons that was mentioned back in the 1980s, to at least identify with the land base historically as in Africa. By this time, along that trajectory, we probably should have already just had an African term to define the group. But now that Black American seems to dominate now the term African American, and we see that it's already a regression in mindset, that a term is now being used that philosophically and just on the face of it, just by the words that are used, disconnects anybody from even thinking that they are African and anchors them in this space as an appendage to the dominant society, as opposed to a mindset that sees themselves as African, period.
Also, oh, my bad, Emoja. I'm sorry for interrupting, but I think to answer your question, Baruti, I think like Hollis said, we don't have the microphone. So we can't lay our case, and most importantly, we can't ask the deep question. When people just say Black American, they say Black American because, oh, I'm Black in America and all that. But if I ask them, what do you define as Blackness? Then all of a sudden, the average person can't define that. So you have to understand that people are going based off of what arguments they've heard. They haven't heard our position. They've heard of Black people going back to Africa, but they've never heard our argument or make our case. It's the same thing about Liberia. Liberia is now starting to get into the mainstream. We, along with other Liberians, have pushed that to the mainstream increasingly. But you have to first let us have the microphone. If I don't have the microphone, I can't make my case and allow Black people to decide. Because the reason why I brought up the Obsidian debate was because they were talking about this. And one of the comments was within our unique ethnicity, there has always been two types of Black people: Black assimilationists and Black nationalists. One of the person was for integration. The other one was a Black nationalist. There are people who have our ideology. It's just they don't have the platform to express it. so they don't get told. I can't make an informed decision if I'm not told that point of view or I'm not told that perspective. But I'll let somebody else speak.
If I gotta go soon, y'all, and but any of y'all could end the broadcast, right? Y'all on the same
Yeah, we're all admins, so we can
Okay,
end it.
okay.
You
Well,
gotta go
I kind
now.
of wanted to address in just a little bit, but I wanted to address Black Messiah when he was talking about the conversation and everything. Um, so the purpose of these live streams is to send out content so that people learn about the BAIO, and we do different ones. Sometimes it's more political focused, sometimes it's more just organizationally focused, and sometimes it's going to be just random, like talking about the arbiters of blackness, or talking about conscious community content, which we don't do often, right? And the idea is just to share the ideas of the BAIO, and then like any conversation, after the first 30 minutes, 40 minutes, it might get derailed. Then we start talking about stuff that we're passionate about. And I don't think anything's wrong with it, even though I do understand your point. But this is YouTube. This isn't like a workshop or something like that where people paying money to come and get certain information. But I appreciate your engagement. Like I really, really do, bro. I really do. Cause trust me, we go through this stuff in our own ranks too, man. We'll be sitting up here and talking, and we like as you hear, we put each other on blast. We tell each other how it is. So we're definitely open to it, you know. But what I wanted to say though, before I do have to book here in a couple minutes, is that I just think that we are just so unorganized, man. We are so unorganized. Like, and when I really sit down and observe how organized other people are, other races, other nations, it's like, yo, we so far behind. We just have to come to agree first that we just need to get away from here. Second, agree that yep, this is a spot that's actually ours that we could build. And third, get there and start to build. Like nothing else really matters. All this, oh, they're calling us black and they're calling us African. Like, who gives a fuck, man? What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Who cares about how big their microphone is? Yes, they got a big microphone. That means that the people who own here, the people that's in the BIO, we on our own. Think of it like that. Yes, we want to do this for all our people. We hoping all our people come, or all the people who want to come, but we can't wait for them. We'll be sitting up here talking about this for another 50 years, 100 years, and be in the same spot. And I'm not with that. Personally,
Yo,
selfishly, I am not
Yamojo.
with that. Yes, sir.
Before you leave, I wanted you to hear this because I wanted to say something about the power of the microphone, because I work in my field is the media and
Mm-hmm.
entertainment. So
Mm-hmm.
I know this. Everybody's saying high value man. You know how they started saying it? One motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
And now that's a part of the culture now. Now everybody's talking about high value man, high value man. One nigga came up with that.
Yep.
That shows you how powerful. Listen, I believe that if you have the people getting the correct information and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, meaning instead of talking about this stuff, we need to start getting together and making moves.
Mm-hmm.
If you do that and you show tangible, concrete results, the people will be on our side because we have the winning argument. We have the winning position. And I will never cede to somebody who doesn't have the winning position. If you have the losing position, the loser's position, how are you going to beat me and I got the winner's position? The only reason why you even it seems like an unfair match is because you have total control over the microphone right now. Because if somebody could tell me where besides on the BAIO you hear a counter to this FBA ADOS bullshit, I would love to hear it. Who else is talking about nationhood? Who's talking about land infrastructure nationhood besides us? There is no counter. So of course it seems like they larger than life. But when you break it down, you break down what their philosophy is. It's a losing philosophy. And the only reason why people are following it because they don't know any better, because they're not getting an alternative. So what we have to do I'm not really concerned about ADOS. I'm not concerned about FBA. I'm not even concerned about the people that are attracted to that information. There's enough of us who believe that we should have land, infrastructure, nationhood. There's enough of us that believe that we should have total socioeconomic and political control of our environment, that we should have a piece of territory, that we can work amongst each other and get shit done.
Mm-hmm. And
And
also,
when we do that, the people will come.
Mhm.
Like they always do.
And also, let me add to Howell's point. There's Black people are moving to the continent every day, and they're not
Yep.
getting like they're moving every day. We've seen this on this, like I said, CBS. We saw this on Black News. We saw this even in the Chicago Star. I just read today about one of the Chicago Star news editors resigned, basically saying he's going to leave Chicago to go to Africa. So people are going to the continent. It's just if you want them organized, if you want an organized movement or a successful movement, you have to organize. That's really what it is. And that's what Hollip is saying. Once we organize, once we make it clear we're about Liberia, we're about nationhood, we're about building Liberia, people are going to come, especially with next year with our trip. That's going to be so important because once you see us not only talking, not only touring the area, but speaking to the YouTubers there, speaking to county officials, speaking to different, stations, you're going to see that we're legit about this. But that's what it comes down to ultimately.
What has been the problem, you think, this organization, as you're talking about organizing, what would have been the problem of the organizing in a place like Ghana if they're already like, maybe 6,000 to 7,000 African Americans already there? Are
I'm
they
about to
not
transfer to my phone, y'all.
organized, or
A
is it
minute.
a different dynamic that
No problem.
would not allow that?
The reason why it hasn't happened in Ghana is because, like I said, organizing, identity, knowing who we are. Because we don't focus on land, infrastructure, nationhood. When you got Black people going to Ghana, they just say, "Hey, now I'm an African." They see themselves as African now. So therefore, they're not going to organize themselves because, "Hey, I'm in Africa now. I'm an African. So let me just assimilate into whatever nation, whatever ethnic group I'm a part of. Let me just assimilate into there."
So you think that when they go to Ghana, they've left the satellite community, if I can use Holup's term, satellite community in the United States behind?
Yes, because they now no longer identify with that. Now they're trying to integrate themselves into the country that they're a part of. Think of how many times you've been in the comment section and you've heard people talk about we need to integrate into the community, integrate. What does that do? Well, when those Black Americans come over there, their goal is to assimilate into those ethnic groups. So their goal is to become Ewe, to become Igbo, to become Yoruba. So eventually, that's what they are. They're no longer Black American. They're now Yorubas. They're now Igbos. They're just Nigerians. They no longer see themselves as Black American or African American because there's not a sense of nationhood. If there was a sense of nationhood and we claimed Liberia as our home, we would say, yo, you're Liberian American. I'm Liberian American. Or I'm Liberian. You're Liberian. Let's get together. That's not there. So a lot of times they're just assimilating into the culture.
Though they say they're African American. I mean, they say they're African American. I mean, that's interesting to me. I didn't know that they didn't say they were African American. I keep hearing people say they're African American as though that is who they say they are while they're living in Ghana.
A lot of you read the comments, you watch a lot of the interviews. They say I'm just a man. So, like I said, at that point, they don't identify themselves as being necessarily African. Yeah, they know they come from America, and thus they would be African American. But in terms of what they identify themselves or what they hope to be in the future, they identify themselves. They're going to identify themselves as Ghanaian. They're going to identify themselves as trying to assimilate into an ethnic group or just be straight a Ghanaian. It's not going to be African American anymore. It's not, and that's why everybody's scattered because You don't have an organized movement and a pinpoint nation to where, like you said, Baruti, earlier, this is who we are. We are Liberians. We are of this group. This is our nation. This is our home. These are our values. That's not there because nationhood is not there. Without nationhood, we're going to be scattered. We're going to be doing what we refer to in the BAIO as Han Solo, because there's no sense of nationhood. There's no sense of collective identity.
I have a problem with the whole. My biggest issue with this, everybody doing their own thing, and the way that the reason why I push back on it so much. I also cook, and I know that I can't take a bunch of ingredients, throw it into a pot, and think that I'm going to have an edible meal. We need to have a plan. We need to have a primary focus, and we need to have those secondary focus, like what Jabari said. We can't even agree on a primary focus. I mean, I don't understand why it's a problem having a base of operations outside of this country. I don't get it. I don't get the pushback. I'll never understand it. Because by us saying that, think about this, Jabari, and you tell me if I'm wrong. Anybody that's trying to do something in America, are we against them? Have we expressed that we're against somebody trying to? I've applauded people like Killer Mike, who's trying to get black folks to join One United Bank. I've even said that's a great start. Having black people put their money outside of Chase and Citibank and put it into One United Bank. That's a do it right here. We have absolutely no problem with somebody trying to do something or focusing on the America aspect of it. No problem. But why is it such an issue and pushback when we start talking about Liberia? Because that's the sense that I'm getting. I'm getting it like when we start talking about Liberia, it feels like we're just ignoring and saying, well, y'all can't do it. Fuck repatriation. Fuck doing anything in America. We only got to. No, that is happening right now. There's people in Ghana from the BAIO. There's people in Nigeria from the BAIO. There's people in Rwanda from the BAIO. They're
Uganda.
all over the fucking country, all over the continent.
I don't think
everybody's not going to Liberia.
Right. I don't believe that efforts in the United States can work well for us unless we believe or are engaged with Africa in some capacity.
The capacity I'm talking about is a nation state.
Mm-hmm. And to add to your point, Holla, why you have the dispersion? Like I said, it comes down to nationhood because, like you said, not everybody's going to go to Liberia, but everybody needs to know Liberia represents the African American nation, the African American experience. It is the pinnacle of it. That's what we're talking about here. Of course, not everybody's going to be in Liberia, just like not all Ghanaians are in Ghana. But
not all Jews are in Israel.
Yeah, but the vast majority of them are. The majority of them are. That's the difference. The majority of them are. Not all of them. We don't want, not all black people are going to go. We know that. We want to get a huge chunk, a significant amount, so that the people know this is their country. This is what we're talking about here. And when you don't have that, it's hard for us to really do anything in Ghana, do anything in Rwanda. I mean, you do have, like you said, you have individuals doing it. We just saw a African American couple in Rwanda open up a coffee shop. We saw that with Wode Maya. They're doing individual things, but on a collective scale, nothing's going to happen because they're going to be assimilated into those countries' culture. So therefore, they're just Rwandans at this point. They're African American Rwandans. They're Rwandans of African American descent. That's
which we can do right now. Any one of us in the BAIO can do exactly the same thing. I love Rwanda. If I had to pick a place to go to right now, it would be Rwanda.
Mm-hmm. Well, so if you went to Liberia, I think you would be Liberian, but I don't think that's the same thing. I'm not saying you all call yourselves Black Americans. I'm not sure what you refer to yourself as, but I don't think of Liberia as being a Black American place. I mean, so if you went to Liberia, many people may just consider themselves to be Liberian, And even if they thought they consider themselves to be Black American in the United States, which I don't use that term, I don't like it. I think it's a slur term anyway. But they might not think of themselves as in the same way. So why would somebody go to Liberia and want to be a Black American?
The reason why
I don't think that's productive at all. I don't even like the term Black American. I think that's a short out from not being African. There's nothing about Black American that would make me think that someone wanted to think in an African way.
But
Or
see,
at least why would they even call themselves a Black American?
But Rudy, that's my issue. Who's saying that? I don't call myself a Black American.
And I prefer to be called Liberian. I really prefer to be called.
So who are we
most
talking
people,
about?
Most of my Liberians even refer to me as Liberian. I prefer to be called Liberian because that's the nation that was founded by our ancestors. So I prefer to be called Liberian.
Okay, so all right. So that's okay. So that's what I'm saying is that when you made the statement that people go to Ghana to kind of blend in to being some aspect of Ghanaian, they don't see themselves even as an African American.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you went to Liberia and you just saw yourself as Liberian,
but what's the difference, Rudy?
I'm not sure.
I think you're missing a big difference.
What is that?
We have a direct connection with Liberia. It was established. Direct
connections with other countries too.
No. It was established by African Americans.
Yeah, well, right.
Yeah,
we claim Sierra Leone as well. We claim
that as well.
Yes. Sierra Leone's even given, if you have connections to Sierra Leone, they give you citizenship. Like we see ourselves.
We're not leaving them out. Just first things first.
Yeah.
That's my thing. It's like I really don't see that there's, like, as I listen to everybody, what everybody's saying, I don't think that we are in disagreement about anything. I think it gets kind of tricky when you start bringing in these other people who have nothing to do with what we're talking about. Like anything having to do with FBA and ADOS needs to be out of this conversation.
Well, I wish I could.
In my opinion, because why are we talking about? I doubt if they sitting there talking about us.
They talk about Black people
because
they talk about us. They talk about us. They talk
about nationalists.
No, they talk about they be in the comment section talking about, oh, is this for real? Why y'all leaving America? Y'all running? They all up in the comment sections. Make no mistake, they be talking about us.
No.
Right.
Well, when I say talking about us, let me be specific about what I mean. We're sitting up here trying to figure out what we're going to do with these people. You think they're doing the same thing with us? You think they see us? You think they really are concerned with, well, damn, how are we going to work with the nationalists?
That doesn't necessarily mean that the importance of somebody talking about our unity, like, it's still, somebody needs to be talking about us. Even if they're not talking about it, that doesn't mean that us shouldn't be talked about.
Who's us, though? Who are we talking about?
Us on this side and them on that side. The FBA or ADOS and the brothers you was talking about. Just because ADOS and them aren't necessarily talking about us doesn't mean that we can't see that it's necessary that they be talking about us and we be talking about them. Because we're on the same team. We're just on different sides of it. We're on B.
Oh, I disagree.
In other words, we're
yeah, I'm about to say I disagree.
But what I mean
by
this
not on the same team.
For instance, when I was talking to you guys last time, I was telling you about we got to have an A to B. In other words, in this plan for repatriation, going back to Africa, we got to have a plan for getting to Africa and being in Africa. But you also have to have a plan for A, for those who are here, for those who won't be able to go immediately, and for those who don't want to go. We're not just abandoning them, and we can utilize them, especially if you guys agree with the satellite city. Well, ADOS would be the satellite city. They would be the percentage of our people who are focused on whatever we're going to build here. They would be the ones who would be willing to talk to you about those satellite cities because they're the ones who are saying we want to build something here. So they're a part of this.
Right.
What
Right.
what part of it is
Hold
though?
on, wait. Can I say something real quick? Can I
Well,
say something real quick? The thing I would say is Black Messiah, you're correct. But here's the thing. You have to identify yourself as being part of the nation. So an example would be, yes, they would be right if FBA said, yeah, we identify ourselves with these people. But if they say, I'm not African, we're Aboriginal, then no, they're not a part of us, because when we establish a satellite community, they're gonna say, I'm not that's not me, because I'm
Right.
I'm
So
not
are you talking?
Liberian, I'm Aboriginal.
So are you saying when it comes to discussing black people, are you saying that under that context of uniting black people, you're saying that the Bloods and Crips aren't united because the Crips aren't always talking about the Bloods and the Bloods ain't always talking about the Crips? They're both black people and they're both trying to survive. They're both trying to be successful. You know what I'm saying? Just because the Crips aren't, every time they sit down and talk amongst the Crips, they ain't sitting around talking about what's best for the Bloods. And the Bloods ain't sitting around talking about what's best for the Crips. Doesn't mean when we talk about what's best for black people that there doesn't need to be a conversation that entails and incorporates both Crips and Bloods. Just because they're not talking about each other, we're supposed to be hiding that. We not these different sects and these groups. We're supposed to be bigger than that. We're supposed to be nationalists. We're supposed to look at the whole group. I'm not hearing Haitians talk about African Americans. But when we talk about what we're trying to do we not start talking about all these other groups? Earlier, you guys had no problems with trying to incorporate and talk about white folk. They're not sitting around talking about us. But in our conversations, you want to sit around and talk about them.
Who's talking about white people?
This was in the conversation earlier when I made a statement about why do we always trying to integrate ourselves? Because the conversation was like, we talking about ourselves, and then we constantly want to bring in, white folk and certain people aren't all black, and why do we always got to go and talk about other folk? Well, now you guys are flipping and saying, they ain't talking about us. We don't need to be talking about them. Well, white folk ain't sitting around talking about how to help black people get to Africa and establish our own land. But every time black people are in a conversation, we bringing up white folk.
You
and
just lost me.
What I'm saying is just because
when are we talking about white people? Did I miss something?
Yeah, earlier, but it'll be backtracking. You like when you listen to the video, you'll see comments that was even brought up, and there was a comment that I made about why do black people feel that we always got to integrate. Go back to the point in the conversation where that comment was put up, and listen to it prior to that, and you'll kind of see where I was coming from and what I'm saying on now. But I don't want to backtrack or digress. What I'm saying is just because ADOS is not talking about us does not mean that they do not have a part to play or that they are not needed or necessary in all of this.
Hold on. I didn't say ADOS wasn't talking about it. I said they did talk about it because they be in the comment section. So that's
right. But you put it in somewhat of a negative manner. But
I'm gonna be very clear. I'm putting it in a negative manner.
Are you sure?
I don't want there to be any ambiguity about what I'm saying. These people are not to be present at anything in the planning stages. What the hell are they there for?
Right.
They don't even consider themselves to be African. Is we going to have them at the meeting disrupting what we're trying to do?
But see, that's the thing, though. In somewhat degree, as much as I'm in complete agreement with y'all and a lot of things you're saying, I don't consider myself at all times and all ways to be African myself. I've never been there. I don't relate to a lot of the people. I don't know the languages. I wasn't raised in what's relevant is when you say they don't believe themselves to be Africa, hear them out spiritually of where they're coming from.
No, I'm not hearing them out.
Yeah, because
can I inject?
Yeah,
something?
Go ahead.
Go on, Jabbar.
The very first thing I think Barudi's gonna lead into this further. When we talk about you've never been there, there are people who are generations removed from where they've come from, and they still identify with their heritage. You've had Chinese Americans who've been here for over 200 years, and they still identify themselves as being Chinese.
That's them, though. Once again, we're talking about people who are not talking about us.
Because you literally made the point. Well, I have not been there. I have not. What does that have to do with you being African? What do you know how many? Does your lineage come from Africa? Yes or no? Does your lineage come from Africa? Yes or no?
Yeah, that's a general perception because there's those out there and within my population who believe that we were here and we're actually Indians. There's all types of belief systems.
Hold on.
Oh my
God.
Man.
Do a DNA test.
Exactly.
DNA test.
That's the science. That's the science.
Have
what
you
you
done a
just
DNA
said
test?
exactly. We need to find out for sure. But the brothers and
I've
within
had friends taking DNA tests, and
so
they
you tell
almost exclusively come back as being African.
so are
They
you
do not
telling
come
me
back.
I
If
should
you were Native American, and you were
right?
here, you wouldn't be identifying yourself as black. You would be identifying yourself as being indigenous, Amerindian, or Indio. This whole argument makes absolutely no
All right,
sense.
so what am I if my grandmother's mother is full blood Indian and on my dad's side his grandmother is full blood Indian? What am I?
You would be Native American,
No,
and
I'm
you would
black.
no,
I'm
you
black
wouldn't. You
because
would be Native.
my
Your
grandpa is black, all black, and on my grandfather on their side is all black. My mother and my grandpa, my mother and my father are all black. So how would I be an Indian? Like which one is it?
You said your
Who's
great grandparents were full blooded natives, right?
Great, my dad's dad, my grandpa on my dad's side, Indian. My grandma's mother on my mom's side, Indian. But my grandma and my mom, my father, they're black. They're all black.
what do you identify with? That's the most important thing.
I identify as a black person, an African
Okay,
American.
well then that's the answer to the question.
I like that you African.
Okay,
But
well,
but check that.
Black
But check that.
Messiah, if I can ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
When Jabari asked you, well, does your lineage not come from Africa?
Right.
And you tended to start talking about, as you said, a Native American
Right.
background,
Right.
Indian background. But then when I believe it was Holop maybe asked you directly, well, what do you identify as?
Right.
And you said black, and then you said African American.
Identifying and lineage is different. Lineage is going back
Well,
in history. Identifying is saying, okay, let's say I was mixed, black and white. Do I consider myself to be white or black? That's
right. But
identifying.
the mere fact that you said African American still puts African in there. So anybody that's identifying with Africa in part or in whole is saying that they are connected to Africa.
Right.
So, it's no way that someone should say they're even an African American if they don't see themselves as an African, because the way the term got started in promotion in the 1980s was that we were people of African descent and lineage historically, but we exist in the so-called American physical space.
Okay.
But not we weren't African. So so I'm saying, and if I can just lean into something, what I'm saying is that there are lots of people in this country who are not ADOS, but they believe in, civil rights and believe in the United States. What I'm saying is ADOS seems to be a movement that's dedicated to saying that they are not African for the purpose of making the Wazungu people believe that they have some moral right, as well as, guilt, in order to give reparations, because we have no place to go. But
see, even with what you just said right there, things have to be established, because you just said ADOS is not accepting nothing about being African, which is not true.
That's what they're promoting, that they're not.
The very termination of ADOS is American descendants of slavery.
Right.
Okay?
And they've
so if they're descendants of slavery, then they have to be acknowledging that the slaves were what?
No, they don't.
No. See, that's what I'm saying.
Rudy,
that you have people.
Let me address this point, because I can explain it specifically. Yvette Carnell made it specifically when she coined the term ADOS, American Descendants of Slavery, that when Africans came from Africa to America, the African cut off and they identified themselves as American.
Which means if you actually said that what you just said, instead of listening emotionally to what she said, if you listen technically to what she said, she just said the lineage is African, that they came from Africa.
She doesn't claim the lineage to be African. She says American because we are in the slave trade. So she doesn't consider it to be African. Her lineage, she said, is American.
So all I'm saying is don't convict every person who has some type of association with ADOS to this one statement made by this lady, because I know for a fact there are many people who are part of ADOS who are simply more inclined towards black nationalism, but they do not deny that we are part of the African lineage. Their focus is just on us here.
I'm saying that the term creates confusion, but what I'm saying is there are people in this country that identify themselves as African American, and they do see themselves as an African people, but they focus their energies here. They have no problem celebrating Kwanzaa or anything like that. There are people that consider themselves to be, they're just a black person. They're no longer African. There are all kinds of views, right? It's just that this ADOS term has gotten a lot of adherence and has been like an umbrella for people who don't believe in Afrocentricity, supposedly, and who concentrate on reparations as the biggest thing that they want, forsaking any kind of African linkage.
Don't let the terms trip us up then.
Right, but I'm saying that there are all kinds of black people with different ideas.
You're not tripping.
How is the term tripping us up when the lady has specifically said we are not African? We're not misquoting her.
Here's why. You're not tripping up on the term African, and yet we all know that the word Africa does not come from Africa or an African, quote unquote, black person, but you're not tripping up on that.
Well,
where did it come from? Are we going to do this Roman general crap? Is that where you're saying that came from?
Okay.
Are you saying that Africa, the term Africa, is originated from Africa and Africans, that Africans in history, those who were calling Africans in history, historically and originally, termed themselves African? Is that what you're telling me?
Are you telling me that Africa came from Leo Africanus?
No. Even though that is what I'm suggesting, that's not what I'm telling you. What I'm telling you is, it is my understanding that the word Africa is not African.
Are you suggesting that it came from Leo Africanus?
No, I'm suggesting that it does not come from.
So where did it come from? Where did it come from?
People outside or beyond African people.
How did he name himself Leo Africanus?
People. No. See, that's what I'm saying. We get tripped up on these terms. I don't care about African Leo Leonidas, whatever his name. I'm talking as essence. I'm talking definition. The word does not come from black people. We called ourselves Ethiopians. We called ourselves Kemetians. We did not call ourselves Africans. That's all I'm trying to say. I don't care about no Africanitis or whoever you're talking about.
Okay, so Black Messiah, do you identify as a Bantu?
See, this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about.
Say that again.
Black Messiah, do you? Okay, let's say we don't wrestle with the term Africa, but I think everybody knows what we're talking about. Identification with the continent that we originated from, basically before being forcibly transported on ships and distributed throughout the so-called Western Hemisphere.
Okay.
Right? All right. Now, do you identify in some kind of way with ancient Kemet or what it means to be Bantu or Nubian? You identify with that,
especially with Nubian. Yes.
All right, fine. So for me, in terms of my thought patterns toward you, is if you agree with being Nubian, I wouldn't even bring up the argument about you don't like the term African, because that makes people think that, that you divorce yourself from blank continent and you don't want anything to do with that. Okay, so if you're not divorcing that, then maybe you just got to let the term slide African, because you know what we're talking about.
I think people are picking and choosing the terms that they want to trip on, when we should just let go of the terms and seek understanding. All I am trying to say is, all these terms, it's almost like back in the day where you got the Muslims and the Christians. We all believe in God, but we want to fight because one person want to call the dude a prophet. One person want to call the dude God. You know what I'm saying? It's like the same thing with this right now. Now we arguing about the term African, when it is all I'm trying to say is, when it comes to these people who associate with ADOS, and we're all black people, and even if the term that they use is different, listen to them. Do they not want better for black people? Do you not want better for black people?
No, they don't.
They want
They want better for black people in the United States.
Hold up. Are you guys truly saying that ADOS does not want better for black people?
Read the comment right here. Read the comment from United States. Read the comment, what he said.
That's exactly what I just said. Forget the terms. which is he's saying
But
with
he says
semantics.
we're African. We're African. He says that we're African. We're not Black Indian. We're African.
Well, that's a contradiction. African is a term. Fuck, what's African? What's African?
What the fuck is an ADOS?
Okay, but
African.
It's clear.
The
It's
continent
clearly.
of Africa.
It's clear.
A
It's
person
clear.
from the continent of Africa.
ADOS is the actual word was originated to be clear in its definition, but African is not. ADOS we know means
Wait.
American
Bro,
descendants.
bro, slow your roll real quick. I gotta understand.
Hold on. I
gotta understand something.
Hey,
So
tell me, brothers, are there
African
not?
descendants of slavery.
Tell me, brothers, are there
Slaves
not?
came from Africa, but Africa is ambiguous, but ADOS isn't. Come on, man, don't bullshit me.
I'm putting everybody on mute and I'm letting Mr. Black Wilson talk because we've all talked and we're talking over each other. So I'm gonna let him go, and then when he's done, I'll bring us back in.
Hey, I gotta understand this. Like, ADOS is African descendants of slavery or American descendants of slaves, right? Slaves came from Africa, but Africa is somehow an ambiguous term. Well, it's an African, but ADOS is clearly defined, even though it has to have referenced slaves who came from Africa. Like, I don't understand that. How is ADOS clearly defined, but what's an African? Even though slaves came from Africa. Like this is total fucking bullshit.
May I respond before we say it's total bullshit? But I'm gonna mute myself until I'm given permission to speak.
He's done with his points.
It's clearly defined because it is telling you that they are, when they're speaking this term ADOS, what do you mean by ADOS? I'm speaking towards those who are in America who are descendants of slavery. When you speak about Africans, who are we talking about specifically? What, people in Africa? Well, are there not Europeans or Portuguese in South Africa who call themselves Africans? Are they Africans?
They call themselves Afrikaners. Get your facts straight.
It's just because there's a little what you call that
an Afrikaner is not an
dialect.
African. An Afrikaner is not an African.
Okay, so where does the term Afrikaan come from, brother? God, that's what I'm talking about with the terms. Where did they get the term Afrikaan for? It sounds a lot like African. Let's not be ridiculous.
Afrikaan, the word Afrikaner specifically comes from the Dutch language, aka Europe, that specifically refers to the Boers. If you translate Afrikaner,
it comes from African.
No,
it is a spin-off of African, and they are in Africa. So what defines?
Is a Dutch terminology.
Okay, let's put it like this, brother. Who are Africans? Because those Afrikaans, whatever you want to call them, they're in Africa. And they've been there for a long time, and they consider themselves to be of Africa. So who is and who is not African?
You know how we can tell who's African? We can ask them what tribe they come from.
We should be able to ask them.
Just like the same way, if you claim to be an indigenous, a Black Aborigine, you should tell me what tribe you come from. And the fact that you can't shows me you are not indigenous and you're not this. And
so
also,
then you must apply that.
Let's talk about Adolf. And let's talk about Adolf here. You talk about American descendants of slaves, Americans who are the descendants of the slave trade. What happens if I'm a Trinidadian whose family was sold from America and then went to the Dominican Republic and then came back? Am I not ADOS?
If your family, if you can't go down the line and find family members who own plantations in America, no, you're not ADOS.
They can, and they're from Trinidad and Tobago. They're from the Dominican Republic. They're from the Bahamas.
Well, then, respectfully, just like with the term high value man, I have to go to the originator, the corner of the term, and ask him. Because I'm just speculating. I have to go to Kevin Samuels and say, hey, does this characterize as a definition of a high value? I have to go to ADOS and ask them, does this, the people from Barbados or whatever you said, are they ADOS? And they'll tell me because they termed the word. They made it up.
So you're proving. So this goes into our point of the arbiters of blackness. You're looking at the arbiters of ADOS. Yes, it does. You're going back to
I'm looking at the arbiters of the terms of the originator of terms.
Carnell and Tom are the arbiters of it because they came up with it and they decided it.
I've created that. I myself have created a particular group. And I have termed it. And before I termed it, the word did not exist. From this point on, anybody who wants to find out who is this and who is not will have to come to me. They can't say, "Oh man, it says this and that." No, nigga, that ain't what that means. You coming up with your own shit. I'll tell you what it is and what it's not because I made up the damn word. So if I want to know who's ADOS, I'll
again
ask
the arbiters of
ADOS.
blackness. So you're literally going into today's
No, this
topic
has
of the arbiter. Yes, it does. We were talking about this today that people decide what is black based on their skin color, deciding who and who isn't, despite the fact that there are people who do stuff for the black community that don't fit into their version. Same thing here. You're talking about the person who created the term ADOS,
yes,
Javed Carnell and Tone, who
yes.
specifically said that when they are talking about lineage, they are talking about American. They
They
do
are
not recognize themselves as being
exactly.
African because they say that cuts off. So you said there are people in ADOS that
Yes,
recognize Africa as their lineage. By very definition,
they
that is
all
a
do.
contradiction.
They all do.
Then why do
But
you
for
refer to
for
yourself
the
as American descendants? You wouldn't
listen,
say that.
listen, brothers. The purpose of the term originated out of being able to identify a particular group of people in America, so that we wouldn't be confused with, for instance, if we're trying to make a case for reparations. When that case was brought forward, it became very cloudy and muddied because we had all black people, even, we got a Haitian who just moved over here saying that they got reparations. It wasn't to say we not with and we don't rock with the Haitians. It was trying to
What
make
if that
sure.
Haitian was the descendant of an
See,
American
this
slave?
what I'm
Have you
talking
heard of the
about.
Haitian immigration movement?
This what I'm
Have you
talking
heard
about.
about the Haitian
Order. This
immigration
what I'm
movement?
talking about.
Have you heard
Order.
about the
The
Haitian
very
immigration movement?
the
Yes or
very
no?
question that you're asking is getting answered, but you're interrupting. This is what I'm talking about.
It
Order.
ain't getting answered, bro.
Bro, when they say ADOS, they're just trying to identify us particularly and not get us confused with other groups of black people.
Can I
That's
say
why.
something?
Yvette Carnell said that
Can I
ADOS
say?
was a lineage and a tribe. So if a Haitian who has African Americans, literally American descendants in their bloodline, they are part ADOS. We don't care what the arbiter person says. The person who came up with the term ADOS specifically said it is a lineage, an ethnic group, a tribe that refers to people who were slaves in America. If a person was a slave in America and then their family immigrated to Haiti, and they came back, they are still ADOS. They can still trace their lineage. I don't care if their nationality is Haitian. I don't care if their nationality is Dominican. I don't care if their nationality is Trinidadian. Ethnically, they are ADOS. Period. End of discussion.
Can
I'm
I
gonna
say
let
something?
Umoja. Yeah, I'm gonna let
Can I say
Umoja
something?
talk. I muted everybody, and you can talk, Umoja.
I just want to encourage us to leave this topic alone because this is just muddying waters that don't need to be muddied. And what's crazy is that I'm sure that everybody who's talking would rather not have this conversation. It's not even a conversation. We're
Facts.
going back and forth, quibbling over semantics that has nothing to do about what the main goal is. So
Facts.
why? And it's just crazy how we'll get so excited about something like this when it's like a fiery debate that's not really a debate, right? Like, so can we just please just get over this? Like, if y'all got to say something else about it, cool, a last statement on it or something. But I disappeared for like 20 minutes and came back, and this was the conversation. So I just listened. But I'm like, damn, really? Like, why we been talking about this? Like, I don't know what I missed, but can we please move on and get to something that's more constructive?
I'm gonna put
All
the
right.
I'm gonna put the button on it. I'm gonna mute every fucking body, and I'm gonna talk. If anybody wants to know what the BAIO is about, all you got to do is go to the BAIO About Us section, and it clearly states what this group is about. Now, if you want to be down with ADOS, if you want to be down with FBA, if you want to be down with all these conscious community groups, this is a free country in America. You are more than welcome to be down with all of those groups. You can work with them, you can build with them, whatever. We're not doing it. We have a goal, we have a purpose as a group. And there's plenty of groups out here. So it's not like the BAIO is some monolithic group. We're a very small organization. So we ain't for everybody. And I'm very, like, that's what I said, man. I don't have time. If I'm going to have a meeting about electricity, I'm not inviting plumbers. I don't want to hear what a hip hop dancer has to say about it. I'm inviting people to have to do specifically with what the topic is. And if we're talking about nationhood and we're talking about we as African people, I don't want anybody challenging that. because it creates confusion. And this show right here, this live stream, is the perfect example of why I don't want these people involved in what we're doing. We went into a whole tangent. Now we arguing about Africa. Are we really African? Are we really black? Are we this and that? Going all over the fucking place. And I'm sitting here looking at us going, what are we even talking about? Why is this any bones of contention here? Why? Some people want to focus on America. Fine. Some people want to repatriate to the continent. Fine. We have, like I said, we have people inside the BAIO that's on every country in Africa. We're not in conflict with them. As far as we're concerned, that gives us boots on the ground in those countries. Everybody's not going to be involved in the Liberia process. We never took that position. And to say that we did is straw manning our position. We're not against anybody doing anything here in America. If you want to repatriate, we're not against any of that. But what we are saying is we, as African people here in this country and African diasporas across the fucking globe, need to have a base of operation that we can exist from, that we control policy on. And if you don't consider yourself African, then you're not involved in that fucking discussion. Period. Point blank. End of story. Not in this group. And that's the reason why they're not in this group. So that it is what it is. It's like we ain't for everybody. And if you don't like what we're about, then get the fuck out. And I feel very comfortable saying that. You don't go to Yeshiva University and say, yo, but what about the Nigerians? They don't give a fuck because they're working for Jewish people. Anyway, that's all I got to say, man. I bring all of y'all in.
Yeah, I just want to say what you were saying, Hob, is what Terrell Harvick said. And that's why I put that up. How can we be on the same accord if we refuse to utilize the same terminology? If we can't even identify ourselves as the same group of people, how can we even begin? Like, we never disputed we're African people. That like United Creole, that said we're African people in a discussion. Next topic. That's it. There's no argument. That's it. We're African people. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, and I think maybe sometime soon we could do a live and start trying to see, who wants to come to Liberia with us next year. I think that'd be a good one because that's where the work starts. That's where you really start separating the real from the fake. I know that everybody might not be financially able to and everything, but I think talking about that, because that's actually showing improvement, because people used to people talking and everything else, and we do most of that talking off of the live stream. The live stream is more like positive and progressive, quote unquote, entertainment, for lack of a better phrase, right? But we are actually working, y'all. I promise you. And all of our work isn't just like left, right, Liberia, land infrastructure, nationhood. Like, we have fucking fun because we have to, because we do hurt. Like, every one of us in this group are so tired of the bantering like we just did for the last few minutes or however long that was going on. Every one of us in the BAIO. So we find time to joke about this shit and laugh about this shit to literally keep from breakdown and crying, man. Everybody in the BAIO have a fierce love for black people. You will never hear us talking about you're not welcome and you're not welcome. The idea about being welcome, though, is being on the same accord of that we're going to get a nation of our own that we control. Not talking about colonizing nothing, not talking about taking over and doing like white people. No, about making a place for black people of the diaspora. Every fucking where, man. That's it.
Your
Sir,
I'll just say this. On a personal level, I love my sister. Love my sister. I wouldn't curse my sister to the cursed earth. I don't wish death on her. But am I bringing her up in my fucking house? No.
Just like that. Just like that.
I'm not bringing her. Am I bringing her to any meeting where I'm trying to do constructive things? No, because she's not going to. She's a toxic personality.
There you go.
May I speak real quick?
That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is Why are we inviting all of these people that are diametrically opposed to what we're trying to do in the planning stages of what we're trying to do? It makes absolutely no fucking sense.
May I speak real quick?
Now, down the line, hold on, let me finish. I don't know who's
yes, sir. It's Blackness.
down the line, when Liberia is up and running and our nation state is functional and progressive and doing what it's supposed to be doing, and we form connections with people here in America, and people see, oh, wow, I can actually trade with Liberia. And we start creating entrepreneurs and millionaires from people here in America. Then we can talk about people over here making a connection with Africa, making a connection with us, and doing something with us. And at what stage of the game is that? You know how much shit has to go on before we even get to that? That's my point. So why are we even talking about these people? They are against what we are trying to do at the initial stages, at the baby stages of what we're trying to do. And we're going to bring them into the meeting. When we bring them into the meeting, we're going to have a discussion just like we just got finished having. Complete and utter nonsense that just went off the rails. Talking about shit that ain't got nothing to do with what we were supposed to be originally talking about. That's what's going to happen. And I'm glad this happened. I'm glad it happened. This is actually a positive thing because it just crystallizes my point.
I'll let Black Messiah speak and then I'll speak afterwards. Black Messiah, you wanted to say something?
All right. First, I just want to clarify things. And I'm glad it's been recorded. Look back into this. I did not bring up ADOS. I did not bring up any of these groups. I was not the one talking about them. I was not the one talking about against them. Matter of fact, the only reason I even got on that topic was to express, for instance, in politics and everything. If we go over to some place and we start to recruit with certain people, you have to respect the politics and the diplomacy. You have to understand that you're going to have people who come in here who are all about land, infrastructure, and nationhood, but have established ties, relationships, maybe even alliances with other groups. So when you start, if you don't want to speak about these groups and you don't want to hear about these groups, don't ever let those groups name or topic about them in a negative way come out your mouth, because it's not somebody's fault when I come in and I don't want to talk nothing about ADOS. But I have ADOS friends and we get along and they understand exactly where I'm coming from with land, infrastructure, and nationhood. And then I get into a group where I don't want to talk nothing about ADOS, because if I want to talk about ADOS, I'd be over in the ADOS conversation. And then that group starts talking negatively about ADOS, saying things I know for a fact that my brothers in ADOS do not believe that. And now I'm being, or I'm going to say that. And now it's an argument when the brother starts saying things in defense of ADOS, but you had no problem saying things offensive about ADOS. You guys,
I hope you do the same thing when the ADOS start talking about us, because I don't see it.
Hey, where I stand,
I don't see it.
This is the thing about being a man. Where I stand, it does not change no matter what group or person or ethnic I'm talking to. What I say stays the same, whether I'm talking to you guys, whether I'm talking to my grandmother, whether I'm talking to a pastor, it stays the same. If you go back in this conversation, once again, I'm glad it's recorded, you'll see. None of this topic and this disagreement came from me. The only disagreement was when I came up and tried to say, hey, we don't have to separate ourselves from them. We can find ways to create strategic alliances, joint partnerships. They may not be directly with us on the part of repatriation and moving back to Africa, but we might be able to connect with them on the fact that they want to stay here. So they might be aligned with the satellite communities. So let's not talk to them about going back to Africa. Let's talk to them, or I will talk to them. I'll be the ambassador. I will talk to them about what they feel, because there's a couple members within the BAIO who agree with satellite communities. Yes or no?
I think everybody does.
Yes.
Okay, simple question. There is a couple of brothers within ADOS who I talk to who agree with the satellite cities. Do you understand? Should I say fuck ADOS because you motherfuckers ain't talking about arbitration, or should I say, let's talk about this satellite city thing? That's all I was saying. We ain't got to cut these black people off because they are our people, no matter how confused or whatever.
I'm cutting them. Let me be clear. I don't know how much clearer I can be. I'm cutting them off from the initial stages of what we're trying to do. Yes, they're getting cut the fuck off.
But are you cutting me off because in the initial stages, I'm 100% with you, but I'm also thinking of how I can connect with some of the brothers I already have strategic alliance who happen to
You
be
can do
ADOS.
that.
Black
You
Messiah.
can do that.
Exactly.
So what that have to do with me? I don't care about them.
But that's the whole point.
Can I say something?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes.
what I want to say is, listen, I think maybe I should clarify my position, or I should clarify. Okay, if you're talking about individual people, yes, okay, individual people, yes, there are some individuals who are on this, but when you said the person who, and you can go back, and that's what I was harking you on when you said the leadership. They get to define. That's what I was. Individual people, yeah, there are individual ADOS people who recognize they're African or just want to understand that there is a difference between Haitians and I understand, I get that. But when we're talking about the leadership, that's what we're talking about. The leadership of that movement is diamonds. Individuals, that's okay. Individuals, that's just fine. But when we're talking about the leadership of it, just like FBA, the leadership. When you have the leadership, such as Tariq Nasheed, bashing Pan-Africanism and African Americans, that's when it becomes a problem. If we're talking about individuals, okay, that's fine. But when you're talking about we need to work with the leadership of it, that's when it becomes the problem.
The leadership.
And I'm telling you, I've been in this game for 30 fucking years. So I think I know how to navigate these waters. And I'm connecting with people of like mind, people that are on the same page ideologically of what we have to do. And if you're not on that page, I'm not saying fuck. I'm saying fuck you in the sense that I'm not concerned about you, just like you're not concerned about me.
I am.
Do you? If ADOS want to do ADOS shit, let them do it. FBA want to do FBA shit, let them do it. The BAIO is doing our thing.
So then can I add, and this is like I'm saying, when last time I talked, you guys understand, you guys are looking like we just got into this argument and we got off track, missing the whole thing. What just happened is exactly what I spoke on last time, how we need, listen to the video last time when y'all were talking about, oh man, that's exactly where we agree. Listen to what I said. This is the training we need to hear people out. Decision-making process and procedures. Not when somebody comes in and say something that doesn't out. Here, for instance, even what I was just saying, go back into the video, rewind. Am I trying to pump ADOS and none of that? No, my whole point before you guys got upset, my whole point was only this. They are connected with us on certain. They're not. See what I'm saying right there? That's the training.
Not.
No, you can't tell me they're not, because I am in connection with them and they agree with me on many things and I agree with you on those same things. So you can't tell me they're not. They are.
Are they in the BAIO?
No, not a person. Many
are they in the
members.
BAIO?
Are they in the
BAIO?
BAIO?
Leadership.
If I asked them, if I asked them to be in the BAIO, they would until they were attacked for defending themselves when they were first attacked, and then they would be offended. They would be offended. They would be offended by the fact that the BAIO feels that they have the right to speak out against ADOS, but when ADOS speaks up to say, "Hey, no, that's not completely true," they're attacked.
If they identify with being ADOS more than they identify with being African, then yeah, I don't have a problem with them considering themselves being attacked as much as we get attacked.
Why
we get attacked? I don't see anybody jumping up to the defense of nationalists when we get attacked.
Even now, let's calm down. Like, and I'm not telling you what to do, but even now, when I was talking about that training, let's calm down.
No, don't tell me to calm down. This
is what I'm saying, right?
This is the way that I communicate, and I'm using your word.
This is the way I communicate.
Get to know me, and then you'll understand where I am.
Okay, Black Messiah, can I? I'm more diplomatic than Holla. I'm way more diplomatic than Holla. But what I was going to say is, I understand your point about individual ADOS people. I get that. I understand your point. If that's your point, you're right. I get it. Well, the reason why I kept emphasizing the leadership is just like what my name said. The leaders have influence. Yes, and there are a bunch of ADOS people who may align with the BIO or are with the BIO. But if you ask the leadership, if they were to ask, "Hey yo, Yvette Carnell, hey yo, Tone, hey yo, Tariq," the leadership, would they be willing to work with us? That's what we're talking about, not underneath. I'm talking about the leadership.
And I agree with you, but what I'm trying to tell you is it's almost like dealing with politicians versus military people. Okay, you got certain people, and listen me out because it's not a personal attack. Listen to the point. Look for the period. Okay, you got certain people who are up in their offices, they behind a desk and they're chatting, but they don't know nothing about how it actually goes down on the battlefield, on the grassroots. And what I'm telling you is, in order to get this off the ground, you got y'all people who y'all can discuss what y'all main goals and your mission and everything in general is. But when you actually want to implement this, understand when you talking about why black people ain't doing this, why they ain't national. Well, understand when you actually go out and try to figure that out, brother, guess what? Because some of them are ADOS. Some of them are B1. Some of them are Christian. Some of them are Muslim. I want black people. So when I go to them, I gives a fuck about it ADOS. I gives a fuck about it B1. I gives a fuck about it Christianity. I'm trying to talk to these brothers in a peaceful way to help them understand that this is best for all of us, despite our little sects, our little religious beliefs. This is best for ADOS. This is best for B1. This is best for the Christians. This is best for the Muslims. You guys want to just look at the cross and say, fuck them. You guys want to just look at the term ADOS and say, fuck them. That's not me, brother, and it won't work. And you guys are on this channel and the last channel talking about asking questions. We don't understand how we can't get these people to understand. Well, let me tell you this. Your first problem is we're disrespecting these people based on a little group that they happen to be a part of now. How do you know that if you go,
so
Is this a
ironic.
fucking joke? Like, please.
No, it's
And
This
not.
is a
black,
fucking joke, and I'm
also,
so tired
and
of
also
seeing
black.
these jackasses online, because you don't find in real life. They online, they constantly say, oh, Pan-African was a joke. Oh, you going back to Africa, nigga? Oh,
Yeah, they insult me
we
too.
see that all the
That's what I'm
time.
about to say.
I don't give a
I've been.
fuck
Stop
about what you
talking.
know,
Stop
because
talking
Hold
we
about.
on.
see these
Hold
people
on.
all the
Oh,
time.
Bro,
hold on.
stop
Hold on. The
talking
yelling.
about the people you
Oh my
know.
God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay.
You doing the
Oh,
exact same thing. You
oh
say
my
I
God.
know these people, and through a third party, I know what they know, and I agree with you, but I see what they do. Bro, fuck them. That's it. If you
Calm
don't
down.
consider yourself black, if you don't consider yourself African, bro, stay in your fucking teepee, light your fucking peace pipe, and maybe build a dirt road here. Because you
Can we
can't be a
stop
part of
yelling?
the initial setup when you don't even control your own fucking anything here. They
And
just scream
also,
and cut the check. That's all they do. Scream and cut the check. Cut the check. White people got a reparations. Cut the check. That's it. They had no other plan.
and
Nothing. Then when
also,
you come to them with the fucking, hey, how about we go to Africa where we're from, the bill? Nah, I don't know what you're talking about. I ain't from Africa. I'm indigenous so-and-so. Well, what's indigenous language? Crickets.
and I just want to say this, and I'm gonna say it calmly because I didn't like the really like I don't like screaming and yelling, but
Me
one
neither.
one of the things that I will say is, for example, I'll give you an example of the leadership, right, of Yvette Carnell. You can have your opinion on Yvette Carnell, but that's not the point. I'm talking about the leadership, is particularly what she was talking about, right? You want us to reach out to them, which I'm willing to reach out to everybody. I'm willing to talk to people. I'm willing to reach out with everybody. I'll talk to people who disagree with me, but career fields, it doesn't matter. I'm willing to sit down and talk to them. But here's the issue that I have. When you have the leadership, like they said, talking about Pan-Africanism, but not only saying that, misinterpreting their words. When you have the leader of the ADOS movement, Yvette Carnell, in tone, we're talking about Marcus Garvey's flag saying the green represents the Irish on there. And when people told them to correct them, they doubled down. That's an example of, okay, we cannot work because you're not even willing to say I was wrong. If ADOS says, okay, you know what, we're willing to accompany these different, if an ADOS person is Dominican or Jamaican and they can prove it and accommodate, I'm willing to say I'm wrong. Hey, my conclusion was wrong, and we can work from there. And I'm willing to make things up.
May I speak when I have a chance? Go ahead, continue.
Yeah. But when you have a situation where you're blatantly insulting Pan-Africanists, calling them panties, and then when we say correct this, at least correct this and acknowledge it, they still refuse to do it, and then use examples to prove their point, despite the fact that that's not the majority. That's when I have a problem. But I'll let you respond.
All right, listen. That's why I love everything being recorded, brother. Y'all got it. We got it. We got to have integrity. The last time I talked, y'all saw where I was coming from, and I think it was you. It might have been another brother. Go back to the taping. You said, brother, we're going to use you to infiltrate these groups. We're going to use you to whoop. So imagine you guys are head of military. I'm a soldier, special ops, and you want me to infiltrate into a particular nation in order to start getting some stuff going on so that we can ultimately.
Said that?
You got to go back to the video. Trust me, it's in there. You just got to go back to that.
Talking about the last video. He's talking about the last video.
All right.
We get what you're saying. Yeah.
All right. So
I didn't say it.
That's what I'm saying. It shouldn't be about
He
us.
was
It should be about
he
we.
was
It should be
talking
about us.
about it. He
I
was
don't
talking
give a
about it.
fuck about why infiltrate these groups for what?
Exactly. Like you got to
But
be on the
no,
same accord to
no,
do this.
the exactly is
Let
not
him
what
finish.
he
Let him
said.
finish. Let him
The
finish. Let him
exact,
finish.
the
Let him finish.
exact,
Please
the
let him finish.
exactly is
Please
that's
let him
not the point, and we're getting thrown off. That's the
finish.
exactly.
Please let him finish.
Thank you.
Jesus
This is what I'm
Christ.
talking about, the training. We can't let nobody finish, and we're getting excited about things.
Brother,
I'm
you've
not even
been
trying
going
to
on
say
the
it.
whole fucking
Please
time. So
let him
please.
finish. Please, can we just please let?
Look, brothers, there are many brothers and sisters within ADOS who feel exactly like we do. And they might be a part of a group where leadership is not saying the best things and has not expressed them the same way. There is not one group that's going to be perfect. Not one. I've came into this group and there are particular members right here in this chat who throw me off. But there is one or two members in this chat who are always say the right things, who always behave the right way. I'm not going to say fuck them because of the two members or the three members who are disrespecting, who are rubbing me the wrong way. And this is what I'm saying with the same with every group. We focus so much on division. Black people want to separate themselves West versus East. We want to separate ourselves Bloods versus Crips. We want like fuck all of that, man. If you really, I'm telling you, if you guys are really true about what you're saying and you want to help, if your goal is to get ADOS, if you're or not ADOS, if your goal is to get BAIO, the members up and then the members repatriate back to Africa. You have to understand, how can you do that if somebody doesn't start getting out here into the Black population, bringing them into BAIO, and ultimately getting them to Africa? And what I'm telling you is I'm on that end of that. And when you get out here to get these brothers into BAIO, they're going to talk about different things. There are going to be certain of them that agree in a lot of things, but then they disagree because they believe that that's not Christian. There's going to be some of them, even when I came in here, we disagreed initially. But once you guys took the time to hear me out, we realized we were on the same accord. Give some of these people the time to be heard out before you just shoot them down because it sounds like they this and this and that. Not everybody in ADOS agrees with the comments of their leadership. Not everybody who's a part of Christianity is going along with Creflo Dollar or whoever. Not everybody agrees with everything said out of these people. They're human. Do not reject every single person in ADOS because one or two people at the head of ADOS has said some things you don't agree with. And it's not an argument. That's facts. And that's all I'm trying to say.
I agree with you. That's the point. That's the point I was saying. I'm willing to work with people who maybe underneath and all. I get that. That's the point that I was saying earlier. And if that's not what I sort of it didn't come off right, I acknowledge
No.
Hold on. Can I please say what I want to say? Please, let's be respectful, please. I don't like yelling and please. But it's just I get the point. I get the point that he's saying. I get it. Okay, we're not going to agree on everything. I get it. All I want to make sure is that person I understand we're going to have to commit to them eventually. Eventually, we're going to have to talk to them eventually. I understand, which is why we people have said we need to debate ADOS or talk to them because eventually it's going to have to happen. All I'm saying is that to say that there's a difference between working and collaborating and saying we're going to like form an alliance. Am I willing to hear them out? Am I willing to talk to them? Yes. But if you're talking about forming an alliance with people who fundamentally disagree, if they're willing to agree with us to a certain aspect, okay, I'll work with them. But overall, I need to know what is the fundamental thing, just simple questions. Do you support our ideas? Are you willing to support them? If yes, I'm willing to work. If not, then I can't. If they're just fundamental questions that I would have to ask and see whether or not they support it. If they do, we can move forward. If not, then I have to part ways. That's where I'm at. It's just a fundamental. It's a fundamental questions that I would have to ask.
Thank you. That's how it should have worked. That's how it'll work. That's all I wanted to hear. Is somebody who understands politics and diplomacy. That's how it'll work.
That's so I got a question. I got a comment for you. I wanted to just complete, if I could, what I was saying earlier. So I on that program, you know, those guys consider themselves to be freedmen, but they have the basic same talking points as one would consider the leadership of the ADOS. You know, that focuses on reparations, but they are definitely feeling that the so-called African American group are victims, and they are anti Black people who are immigrants from Caribbean spaces and African countries because they believe they're crumb snatchers from opportunities for the Black people in this country. So I asked a question on their chat when they were talking about reparations, because they were talking about the move south as being the basis for them to get reparations. And so I asked them, I said, well, what if the Mzungu people in the U.S. government and the white population do not agree with your getting reparations? What are you going to do? So they flashed the question that I had on the screen. And so some of the guys said, oh, the fact that he used this term Mzungu, he's probably some kind of African or something. He needs to get off of this panel. Why is he in our business? Is he even an American? So I bring that up because what I see from these various groups in terms of attack is that basically a lot of these groups are steering people into believing that whomever believes in Pan-Africanism, kind of curtails or cuts off their ability to quest for reparations. So for you, Black Messiah, if you feel like you want to be, some type of go-between, an arbiter between these so-called ADOS groups with the talking points they tend to have and the Pan-Africanist groups, I would say that one good thing would be to tell the so-called ADOS groups that the Pan-Africanist groups or Pan-Africanist leaning people should not in any way keep them from getting reparations. But the ADOS groups believe that Pan-Africanism keeps them from making their argument to the white people about why reparations should be given to Black people. And that's their argument. I think it's a false argument, but that's what they say. So maybe that would be an area that you should go, since you say you believe in Pan-Africanism, but you believe in the talking points of these ADOS groups, then we shouldn't have any problem getting reparations.
When it comes to the actual practice of diplomacy as an ambassador, anybody who becomes a group, let me just show you that no, I shouldn't say any of that. What I should do is work an agreement between all groups that we will not speak against other groups, period, and just be quiet at that. For real, like, hey, ADOS, we have our differences. I would have BAIO leadership sit down with ADOS leadership, and it would start with, I know we do not agree on everything, but let's agree on this. We will not speak out against the missions, the beliefs, the cultures of other groups, because we know we're all in. And if you guys ever heard of the United Nations, if you guys just ever even looked into government, you will understand that you have alliances, you have partnerships with other countries, and you don't agree on everything. Some of these people, one little twig could send them into war, but we have to establish alliances, and they never agree. There's different religions, conservatives with capitalists, with all type of different governmental systems, different histories. You know what I'm saying? You got America and Japanese who are alliances, and yet they dropped Hiroshima on their asses, and they still are able to sit down at a table and say, right, man, we don't fuck with each other for real, but for the purpose of moving forward and advancing.
But Black Messiah, what I'm trying to get you to see is, I understand your point, and I appreciate that. What I'm trying to get you to see is that even if you say that you want to make sure that no group is speaking against the goals of the other group or speaking out against the other groups, what I'm saying is that unfortunately, the talking points of these ADOS leaning groups, the Freedmen, the FBA, whatnot, they see the ideas of the Pan-Africanists as being against them getting reparations. That's the point. It's not that the Pan-Africanist groups are attacking them. They are trying to get something from the white man. And they believe that Pan-Africanism is an anathema to them doing that. And that's why they speak out. So
I understand.
Hold on, there's a couple things.
That's not the case.
There's two things that I want to do. There's two things I want to say. First, can we get some of what people in the chat were saying as well? And then, of course, I want to let Mr. Black Wilson, if you got anything you want to say, I want to make sure everybody gets a chance. And then I'm about to put myself on mute. So I want to let everybody get their opinion on this. So Flames 2 says, I agree. He said he agrees with me. BAIO Pan-African Black nationalists shouldn't work with Freedmen nationalists, ethnocentric nationalists if our goals differ. There are other things in the chat. He says that, so First, I'm gonna let y'all speak on that. I'm gonna let everybody else respond. I'm about to put myself on mute. I would prefer Mr. Black Wilson to go first, and then I'll let other people speak. So go ahead, Mr. Black Wilson.
All right, here's the thing. It's hard to work with a group of people when their main thing is black people from other places are bad. We just need to cut the check from white people, and that's their whole game. I don't know what the end goal of it is, but that's the whole goal. You can't work with somebody who can't even meet you on the simplest idea of black people need to own their own shit. Because I have never heard of anybody from Adolf saying black people need to control anything, because they never do. It's always cut the check and black immigrants are bad. And that's from the head all the way down. Like, I don't know if anybody's been on fucking Twitter or on other Facebook groups, but that's literally their main talking points. Same thing with the FBA bullshit. Like honestly, like what is Adolf gonna get to? Nowhere. Nowhere at all. And the BAIO, we're at least trying to create something for black people somewhere, and we can't have ADOS as a satellite if you really think about it, if they don't even agree with, black people from the continent coming over to the United States.
Let's start looking at some of these groups not as nationalist groups, but special interest groups. And I don't know if
there's no special interest. I'm sorry. There's no special interest with ADOS other than cutting the check and black people, immigrants are bad.
That is their special interest then.
And what does that do for black people? How does that
it makes sure that when it comes to our very big and broad agenda, that there is a group that is specializing specifically in retrieving reparations, which a lot of us believe we should have.
Yeah, specialized. So hashtag cut the check is specializing, huh?
Specializing, cut the check. Hashtag cut the check is specializing on the issue of.
Are you serious right now? Are you trolling me?
Listen,
because a hashtag ain't getting shit done. Because Dr. Corey Anderson tried that, and
it is a specialist group. It is a specialist interest group. That special interest is focused specifically on getting reparations. Leave them there. Don't. That's
a joke. But all right, anybody who wipes their ass with the left
if you believe it's a joke, laugh at it, but let them do that.
Ain't nobody stopping them from doing dumb shit, but please go ahead.
So there's no reason to speak against them. They are not. They're not with the fool shit like we are. They're special interests. They're only concerned about getting a check from the white man. And guess what? I believe that the white man owes a check.
I guess they have the
Let
right.
them focus on that.
The right to do that.
The Black Messiah, the only pushback. The only pushback I would say is if they are a special interest group, why can't they just also fall under our umbrella and just put them as a reparation group?
Because like I said last time, all of us need help with this political shit. We're tearing each other down.
No, because the reason, Jabari, that they cannot do that, to be up underneath the umbrella, is because their idea is that Pan-Africanism thwarts their argument to the white people that the white people should give reparations.
Thank you.
That's the thing. So,
can I ask you, brother? When America was founded, were all of the colonies in union? They later formed that union. Hold up. Listen. Okay, thank you for agreeing with that.
The mental backflips.
Listen, we are in the beginning of laying the foundation, establishing and really erecting this nationhood thing. Right now, we are a group of divided colonies. Accept that. That is where we are.
Right.
I'm pretty sure whole already did.
Right.
It's like we divided.
Hold on. Can I say something real quick? I agree with you, the Black Messiah, but they came under one fundamental agreement. We are a nation. That's the point. They may have not been in unison, but they all understood one fundamental goal. We are an independent sovereign entity. And that's what I was asking for.
Why did the North fight the South?
Because they didn't believe, they didn't agree in a fundamental point. And that's what tore them. You have to, but that's what I was talking about earlier with ADOS. Asking them, do you support this fundamental aspect? If we ask ADOS people specifically, Do you support African Americans having their own nation state and recognizing Liberia as that nation state? Do you recognize that? Yes or no? If they fundamentally say no, I firmly disagree with that, then of course we're going to split because we don't agree on the one fundamental goal. That's the point I was saying.
Is it possible? Please don't argue just yes or no. Is it possible that where you failed, someone else with a better relationship and a better ability to be flexible will have a better chance of getting those people to kind of turn around some of their policies? Has there ever been a situation where two groups like Crips and Bloods have been at war and have killed each other and are killing each other, and yet a specific person with enough charismatic leadership, enough pull, just in the right places, just the right type of person, was able to come in and get a truce where others had failed? Is it possible?
Yes.
Okay, then stop cutting it off and just leave it open.
You put the cap on and you go to ADOS.
That's what I'm telling you. That's what I've already told you.
That shit. You do that. You go right now and do it.
Okay, hold on. I got a better thing. Fine. Okay, I may not be best to speak to ADOS. Maybe you be the one who speaks to ADOS. That may not be my thing. Or maybe we can work together and get something done. Maybe that's a solution that needs to happen. Because we in the BAIO, I've recognized, me and Holly, you can ask Holly this question. We've had this conversation. There are certain people in the BAIO that are not strong, good at diplomacy or talking. I get that. That may not be his forte. My forte be, hey, I'm willing to. Maybe I've done something wrong. I'm willing to accept that. Maybe you, the Black Messiah, can go talk to them since you know that. Because personally, me, I don't have a lot of people who identify themselves as ADOS. Most of my friends identify themselves as African American, even on my college campus. So maybe that's something that you can do. Maybe that could be the solution.
Exactly. And that's why I was going back to my point. My point was not to push ADOS. My point was not to push these groups. The reason I spoke up was, and when I go over there, right, and I'm trying to tell them, look, let's get these differences worked out. Just like you guys are saying, oh, I went over there and they was like, fuck this and fuck that. Well, guess what? When I go over there to them, they're talking about, I watched the BAIO video just yesterday and they were saying, fuck ADOS and fuck us. That's just causing division. If you don't rock with them, leave them alone. If they don't rock with you, leave us alone. But there's people in the middle who don't want no war. They want this to work out. If you don't fuck with them and what they believe in, stop talking about them. And I'll tell them the same. If you don't rock with BAIO and everything they believe in, stop talking about them. Let's me and you talk. And that's all I was saying when y'all was talking about, oh, these people and they Indians and all that. Look, don't talk about Dan Calloway's a good guy, bro. Leave him alone. Let me talk to him if y'all can't rock with it. I understand where he's coming from.
Somebody that pushes misinformation is a good guy. Get the fuck out of here.
I'm about to say that.
Get the fuck out of here.
I'm about to say that. I would have to push back against that. I would have to push back against that.
Misinformation can be corrected, but he's not misinforming purposely, if that's what you believe.
Come on, man. No. Do not tell me in the age of information he is not misinforming purposely.
I'm about to say that is a
no. I'm sorry, no.
Bro,
no, you ain't fine with that shit. So you gotta stop that right now.
Hold on, let Holla speak. Holla has not spoken for a while. I'll let Holla speak. I'm gonna mute everybody. Holla, you got the floor, and you can go.
Oh God, I mean, there's so much to unpack, but I'm not gonna go into every little minute detail. I'll just say this: there is no we, there is no us, and there is no our. On a socioeconomic and political level, we does not exist, our does not exist, us does not exist. The whole purpose of the BAIO is trying to get us to form a tangible and concrete us, we, and our. That's the whole purpose of the BAIO. So for me, this isn't really that complicated. Because I just want to address one thing. I really wish that people would stop straw manning our position. What I'm saying is very clear. I don't think that it's very, it's ambiguous and vague. There's an About Us section on the BAIO website. Anybody that reads that About Us section and says, you know what? I can rock with that. are more than welcome to sign up and join the BAIO. If you agree with the About Us section, you agree with what it is that we're trying to do, absolutely no problem with that. Anybody that knows me personally knows I will speak to anybody. If you're willing to have a conversation and not be disingenuous, I'll speak to you. But I'm also not going to sit up here and allow people to say any kind of thing and I'm just going to go along and co-sign it for the sake of unity. No, fuck that. That's why I don't have a problem with the way that Mr. Wilson reacted to this Dane Calloway dude. He's a complete disingenuous piece of shit to me. I don't want to have a fucking conversation with him. And why am I even talking about this dude? It's like, why are we talking about people that are diametrically opposed to what it is that we're trying to do as an organization? That's my point.
Not interrupting, but letting you.
That's my point. We're having these conversations about what could we do. These people are involved. Listen, when we do a nation state, we're not saying the only people that can be down in this nation state is if you're down with the BAIO. That's not what we're saying. There's nothing. We're doing this for black people, period. Now, are these people black people? Yeah. Are ADOS black people? Yeah. Are FBA black people? Yeah. Are the people that claiming to be Indians and whatever, are they black people? Yeah. Just like my sister, who's a drug addict and a crackhead, I love them, but I ain't having you a part of the planning process. I can't have your energy up in the mix causing division and confusion. We need to get people of like mind that's on the same page to make moves together. That's what I'm about. And anybody else that doesn't agree with us, if you are diametrically opposed, I'm not saying, when I say fuck you, you got to keep in mind, and maybe this is my fault. I'm from Brooklyn. There's a way that we can communicate. When I could say fuck you to Max 611, and that's my boy. You know what I'm saying? When I say fuck you, and I'm saying fuck you in the sense that I'm not fucking with you when it comes to certain things that we have to do. I'm fucking with people of like mind. One of the commandments of the BAIO is connect, not convince. I'm not here to waste my goddamn time trying to convince people of shit. I'd rather be talking to the people that agree with me. When you're trying to win, if you're on a team, we can't have everybody on the team doing their own goddamn thing. We got to agree first that we are a goddamn team. And then we got to point to the goal, and the goal is the championship. And you can't have people on the team who say, well, you know what, fundamentally, I don't think that we should go for the championship. Then what the fuck are you on a team for? That's lunacy to me. All I'm saying is, let's get with the people of like mind that are on the same page as we are and work with them. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. You may not like the way that I'm saying it, but that's what I'm saying. So that's all I want to say. Y'all can jump in, mute me. I'll go back into saying nothing like I was before.
You got to hear people out in order to determine whether they're like minds. And even those people that you determine are like minds, you still are going to find certain things that you disagree on. You're never, ever, not even the people in this group, agree on every single topic in regards to the BAIO.
That's a straw man. Can we not straw man my position, please?
No, that's fact, because everything
no,
that you
that's
just
a
said
straw
was
man.
Oh,
That's a straw man.
We can't even agree that
with
you
each other.
just said you would mute yourself and let another
No,
brother talk.
right, man in me.
And I disagreed with some of the things you said, but professionally, I knew to shut my mouth, wait till you were done, so that I would not disrespect you. This is what I'm talking about with the training. Don't give me these titles and these terms. I don't even know what they mean. So I ain't straw man nothing. I'm coming genuine. What I said, I meant. All this straw man and narcissist and all this bullshit.
You want me to explain?
No, I don't. I want my chance to talk just like you had yours, so I can shut up and then let you respond or somebody else respond. I want professionalism. I don't want emotions. I don't want attacks. I don't want name calling. I want to act like a goddamn man, an adult on this platform for just a few minutes.
So you want to hire straw man underneath professionalism? Okay.
Hold on, let him speak, and then we can respond.
All I'm telling you is, let's say I get it with the BAIO and I come over as the first man and I check it out and I'm like, man, I like this. And I go over some of my brothers who right now, they're with ADOS, but they're with me on this thing like, man, ADOS is kind of getting old. They're not really pushing. I don't really like what they talk about. And I tell them, Brooke, I found some other brothers over here, BAIO, and man, and I think you don't like what they talking about. And they be like, cool, man. Tell us when to tune in. They in the chat right now, right? You guys started disrespecting them. And I'm trying to help y'all understand that, like, stop that. Because they were about to switch over from ADOS to BAIO, but you're talking about them. You're disrespecting them. They ain't ready for that yet. But then you want to tell other people, if you ain't about this, why are we even talking about you? That's my point, brother. If y'all ain't about ADOS, why was y'all talking about them? Rewind the video. Y'all was talking about them. Y'all talking about Dan Calloway. Dan Calloway ended up in here talking about y'all. He ain't on his channel talking about y'all neither. Y'all talking about people. So keep it real. Keep it real. Let's be men. Keep it real. Check yourselves. Don't try to check everybody else. You over here talking about other people, offending other people who ain't talking about you. That's it. Keep it real. I'm a real man. Fuck all that bullshit. I make mistakes. Admit your mistake. You talking about them. Rewind and tape. Y'all talking about them. If you don't like them, don't say nothing about them.
Can I say something? I'll respond. Okay, so I understand your point that if they're not talking about us, we shouldn't talk about them. However, here's the point why I brought them up.
But y'all want to talk about them talking about y'all, though.
When they talked about Pan-Africanists, that's when I responded. Okay, it's okay to respond. It's okay to say, listen, okay, you brought me up. I'm going to respond. We brought them up. They can respond to us. I'm okay with them responding. I've said many times, I'm willing to go and speak to ADOS people and debate with ADOS people. I have no problem doing that.
The brothers I brought over here, today from ADOS did not talk about y'all, did not talk negative about y'all, and weren't trying
hold on,
to.
I'm not
period.
talking,
you guys made a mistake and learned from it.
About them. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about ADOS, the organization, the movement, and the leadership. I'm talking about that.
Now brothers who wanted to get on the right stack and were ready to come over here and get on the right ain't fucking with y'all because they believe you're just another group of niggas sitting around talking about somebody else. That's y'all's fault, not mine, bro.
Yo, you done yet, man? You just repeat yourself.
Hold on. Let us speak. But also, it's similar to like this. You mentioned Dan Calloway, not us, though.
I didn't. Well, I was talking about the Indian thing. We weren't talking about no personal attack against the brother. I was talking about people who tend to believe that they may have been descendants of Indians. And now, do we believe that? Is there facts behind it? Who cares? That's what they believe. There used to be people who believed God was white. I ain't turning my grandma away just because she got that old belief. I'm just gonna try to give her some new knowledge and hopefully she sees the light. But I'm not gonna tear my grandma down because she still got a picture of a white Jesus on the motherfucking wall, man.
Black Messiah, can I ask you a question? I just want to ask you a direct question. This is Baruti talking. Okay, so can you give me either in the mind of some people that you would have talked to that would have been, say, ADOS or either for yourself, what kind of ideas would various people have had that made them kind of rock with ADOS, but now they're kind of like, I don't like that. But you think that they would switch gears and want to hear what the BAIO is saying, or
land, infrastructure, nationhood, and going back to Africa. They all agree with that. And whether they're able to say it because of group think and not wanting to be crucified by the rest of the group, I'm telling you the truth. A lot of ADOS believe in going back. A lot of them do.
But what? Okay. All right, fine. Just stay with me for a minute. Okay, so you say that they now would believe in land, infrastructure, and nationhood, right?
Specifically,
what before would have attracted them to the ADOS movement? What would the ADOS movement have been saying that attracted them that they no longer see as valid? They would make us switch gears to come to the BAIO.
The same thing that made me do it, because I was over there with the ADOS.
What was that?
And let me
what
tell
was
you,
that?
At the particular time when I got with ADOS, there was a kick, a movement, a big hype about reparations. And I really felt that. In ADOS, like I said, the reason that they came with that term was specifically because once we started talking about reparations, it got murky. Everybody, even the white folks, started to denounce reparations by trying to murky up the water by like, well, who's African and who's descendants? So they created that group as a special interest to try to give us a term that would make sure that, look, we know exactly who we're talking about. Now, later on down the line, we figured out that there was a whole lot of stuff they talking about, but it's like, oh, y'all bullshit. For instance, I used to go down with the MGTOW stuff, right? I went that direction. Guess why I left that? Because I went with MGTOW saying men going their own way. I went my own way, and all these men talking about going their own way, went out into the wilderness, sat down in the middle of nowhere, started a bonfire, and kept talking about women, complaining about women. I thought it was going to be a minute to separate from this bullshit and go out and do what do. Get separated from everybody, went out in the middle and kept.
All right, just one.
Left their ass. That's
Okay.
why. But who cares about why they went that way?
Right, but
Yes,
one
sir.
more question, because this is important. Okay, so let's say you had gone down the road of ADOS and you saw what they were talking about. Are you personally suggesting that you would now come over to the Pan-Africanist movement or the BAIO because you no longer believe in the validity of how to get reparations, or you think that reparations is going to be gotten for you through land, infrastructure, and nationhood?
I think that land, infrastructure, and nationhood needs to include reparations. Reparations needs to include land, infrastructure, and nationhood. So I'm the person who realized I'm not going to be indoctrinated by a particular group. I'm going to be the man in the middle who has bonds and connections and ties with both groups, because I realized the big picture. I need the Army, the Navy, I need the Marines, and I need the Air Force. Not one of them is going to do it. All these particular forces with their special interests, their particular focus, some are amphibious units, some are air units, some are ground units. All of them are going to win the war, not one particular group.
So
That's
do you
where I'm
believe that so are you saying now that yes, you still believe in reparations, but you no longer believe that the way that the ADOS movement was trying to get it is no longer feasible and valid? Is that what you're saying?
No more is I get what I get from them, but I feel that it needs more, so I'm tying myself to that more. In other words, when I went to ADOS, I'm not turning away from them because they're not including land, infrastructure, and nationhood. I just added land, infrastructure, and nationhood in myself by joining you guys. I still go over them for what I get from them. I'm not turning my back on them. I like what they got, and I feel, because I'm a realist, they're human beings. They will grow. They will get better. New members will join. The agendas will change. The politics will change. The conversation will change. I'm not turning nobody down just because they're not looking like what I wish they looked like right now. Because y'all ain't perfect to me neither. But I'm not going to reject y'all.
Help me with this. How is the ADOS groups or these groups that are particularly talking about reparations from the vantage point of, singling out so-called native Black people, and they are against the notion that that immigrant Black people are going to take away from the efforts of Black people here. How in your mind do you think that they make more of a valid argument than groups that are still around that came before them, like in Cobra, that had talked about reparations? How is their platform any closer to getting reparations?
The way I do this, I don't look at it at all like that. What I look at it is like, we got a big agenda of nationhood, building a nation, advancing Black people. And I see a bunch of seeds in my garden that I planted. And some of them got stems, some of them got roots, some already got flowers. And I don't judge no one because of their particular stage in the growth and development. As long as I see something I like, I see that thing is growing a little slower than the one over here. But
I have to say something.
They're good. So I'm
let him speak. Please let him speak.
I'm letting them grow. I'm waiting to see what it turns into. I contribute. I give certain things. I plant seeds and I see what it grows into. I watch over the time and I look at the members who join and look at the conversation that they contribute. I like what I'm hearing. I feel promise. I feel like turning around some of these negative things that I feel about ADOS will stop. Some of these negative things that I'm seeing in BAIO will stop. I'm not turning down nothing, because I know when you're out here on the battlefield for real and not up in your lofts, up in your office, around your desk, smoking cigars, just running your mouth. When you're down here, people are flawed. People are confused. You got Black people believing all type of bullshit. all type of bullshit, man. I'm not turning down nobody because I remember when I was young and I was in gang banging. I remember a young brother came to me, not a young brother, but an older brother came to me and tried to get my mind right. But at that particular time in my life, I wasn't hearing none of that shit.
Can I
All
say
right.
something, please? Can I say
Yeah, go
something,
ahead.
please?
Yeah, Moji,
Please,
you can speak and then I'll speak.
please. Let me tell you why I dismissed the ADOS thing pretty much immediately, because I did a research for myself. Like, okay, what are they talking about? What's this reparations and everything else, right? And I realized that it's a bill that was first introduced over 30 years ago. It's literally the exact same reparations bill. And I was like, okay, they just still trying to push it. But then I researched further and I read the words in this bill, and the bill literally states to do research on reparations. It's not even a bill that will say, here you go. And see, if you know how these people work, it's nothing but a little tiny carrot that they're keep on going in a circle to thousands of donkeys. And we the donkeys, right? And we chasing this little ass carrot that's not even gonna get you full. Literally the bill that they're pushing when they talk about reparations, the bill is a bill that is literally over 30 years old. Mind you, it's over 30 years old. It's been at the House at the Senate for 30 years, just sitting there for 30 years. And in that bill, it says to research reparations, not to give reparations, not to figure out how we gonna put, no, to research reparations. So I immediately said, this thing is full of shit. And second, and most importantly, is that now, let me be clear with saying that I don't believe that Black people don't deserve, quote unquote, deserve reparations. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that it is the weakest position to put yourself in a place where you're dependent on the same people that fucked you to now all of a sudden love you and put you in power. The same people that took that keep you powerless to then say, you know what, we want to make sure that they have the same possibilities, the same abilities that we have. So we're going to go ahead and reimburse them for all those hundreds of years that we've screwed them. So I look at the whole basis of it as being bullshit. You hanging yourself up.
No, hold on. Can I say something?
When I say you, I don't mean you as an individual. I just mean the whole philosophy of it is hanging your head on so many things that's outside of you, when we have everything that we need, sir, to prepare ourselves.
Hold on.
Which is the BAIO. Let's do this ourselves. Why are we sitting up there trying to peddle to white people to be nice all of a sudden?
They're not.
Hold on. Can I say
ahead,
something? Because I really want to say something. I think, and I understand from all perspectives, I think what we have, I'm going to say is, I think we got to understand is that not everybody has the access to knowledge that we have, and not everyone comes from the background that I may have. So for me, I listen, I'll be honest, I used to listen to Yvette Carnell. I used to listen to Tone Talk when I was back in 2015. I remember Yvette Carnell when she was on Breaking Brown with Boyce Watkins. I get it. I understand what he is talking about and all that people may not be in the game, and I get that. I think one of the important things about the situation is when I think when we talk about nationhood, I think this is why I say definitions are important. I think a better way to clear this up is I think we need to distinguish between Black nationalism, Pan-Africanism, and integrate. I think we need to start defining what these terms mean, because just because I'm a Black nationalist, that doesn't mean I'm a Pan-Africanist. Just because somebody's a Yoruba nationalist, it doesn't mean they're a Pan-Africanist. So I think we need to make that distinction. And we can tell ADOS, well, you guys are Pan-Africanists. We may look at the broader picture as being Pan-Africanism, but advocating for nationhood is not necessarily a Pan-African thing. And that's why I chose Liberia. That's the major reason why I chose Liberia, because Liberia was that one state where people can say, well, we ain't got no connection to Africa. We do. We got this country called Liberia. Your presidents came here. They were slaves in Virginia, in North Carolina. The flag is very resembling. You'll be more comfortable. That's part of the reason why. So if somebody were to say we don't have somewhere, I can say we do, and here's the evidence for it. Now, me personally, I'm more of a diplomatic person. I'm more willing to negotiate, apologize, do all of that. And we talked about this. We've talked about reparations to Liberia. we've actually done a video talking about why we think reparations in the form of Liberia would be better, because Liberia is the nation state that America partially created, and we can go and say that they are the representative of that. Maybe some ADOS people don't know about that, or if they've talked about Liberia, they've been misinformed. That's why I've talked about Liberian presidential series, but that's personally me. Like I said, that's me. And also, the last thing I would say is all of us have different personalities, and so everybody in the BAIO knows, and we've had chats about this constantly. I'm willing to debate, willing to negotiate, willing to speak with people. I know Hollop is not going to do that. I know Umoja is not going to do that. I know that Mr. Black Wilson is probably not going to do that. And so I think that understanding our roles, it would make this stuff a lot more easier. Even with the groups that we were talking about, maybe that's something that they can do better too, is actually getting people different roles to understand that point of view. And that's what I will say is, first, defining definitions so people do not conflate Black nationalism and Pan-Africanism, because they're not the same thing, just like Black nationalism and Black separatism. We actually did a video on that. They may be related, but they're not exactly the same thing, because there is Black cultural nationalism. And then secondly, to understand our roles, understanding that different people have different personalities, and they are able to talk to people in a way that others of us may not be. That's what I would say on that. And people,
I would just like to point out that even with what you said and everything that you said, I love you, bro. I love the way you talk. I love the way you speak. And I'm just going to, from now on, maybe I just have to email you with something like that. You know what I'm saying? Because I really need people who really care about this and aren't trying to tear us down accidentally by just acting certain ways. And it's like when I talk about that, you said there's certain people who can't do that. But I would challenge that, because I would go back to when I first came in here. When I first came in here, people were like, oh, blah, 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 just like they're doing now. But after they gave a person a chance to speak, did we not realize that we agreed on a lot of things? We were saying in different ways, but we agreed on a lot of things, did we not?
Yes.
So what if y'all heard what I was saying, just made your conclusions, and just refused to even hear me out? And all I'm saying with that is, man, stop shooting people down, because you are coming in contact with people who may not be talking the same way. But if you would just take the time out to sit down at a table, have a drink, stop all this, oh, I'm this way and I'm only this way, and if it ain't about this way, come on, man, that's not how people work, man. Every person you talk to is going to have a different life, a different experience, and a different way of speaking about what they perceived. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what I was talking the first time I called. You can rewind it. This is all I was talking about. We need training on this, because look how me just trying to tell y'all, look, let's not talk so bad about other people because they happen to be in the chat right now. And I'm actually trying to get them to realize that you guys are good brothers. And it turned into, man, y'all talking about going over to Liberia and setting up a nation. How? Y'all can't even sit in the chat with 9 people without getting into a damn war when somebody's saying
This is pretentious as fuck. I'm sorry, this is pretentious as fuck. Bro,
But
you've been in
let
here
me
crying
talk my
about
way.
you've been talking. All you have been doing is fucking talking, right?
Black
talking
All
about
right.
right
No,
now.
let me talk
Hold
now.
on, bro.
Cause you just been fucking mouth jabbing the whole time.
And I
Bro,
let
you came
everybody
in
else
here,
mouth
you
jab, and I
came
don't
in
feel the
here
need to cry like a
crying for
baby.
ADOS, right? You've been in here crying for ADOS. Oh, you can't talk bad about them
You the
people.
only one
Don't
crying.
say, bro, you came in here caping for ADOS. That's been your whole fucking point. We're telling you what we are about, right? The
No,
thing
you're not.
is,
You're
that
lying.
group, this is a fucking joke. That group, diametrically opposed. Diametrically opposed. Everybody in here that was against ADOS, Baruti himself went to a video and told you his experience. We all have experiences with these people. But for some reason, our experiences don't count, and we can't talk bad about them because you don't know them, but you know 2 or 3 motherfuckers who may or may not be watching this video. Like, are you done crying about somebody saying bad things about ADOS instead of asking why they're saying bad things about ADOS? Because I've never heard you ask that question.
Are you done being emotional?
He did say that Adolf shouldn't talk about us. He did say that, so I'm not gonna like.
So he said that. So why the fuck are you still crying? Talking about I'm a real man about somebody talking bad about a whole other group of fucking people.
Because
I understand his point.
I'm gonna tell you.
Like I said, I understand his point. I understand his point. I get the point that he's saying. Listen, my goal is to get as many, and this may be my goal, and also what I hope we're also doing in the BL. But our goal should be to get as many people as possible. And that's the goal. I understand.
Quality over quantity, because I don't want shit in my sandwich.
Bro, you are not
right.
quality. Listen
You're
to
right. Hold on. Let's not name call. But even with quality, you can have quality, but if you don't have enough of it, it doesn't really matter because you don't have enough of it. I get the point. Quality, I understand. Both of them have their advantages and disadvantages. I get it. I understand.
What's the advantage of having a motherfucker who has no end game?
Don't worry about it. Let the people who actually know deal with it.
And
You
we
don't
can,
understand.
What's the end game?
Hold on. We can help guide them. That's why I'm looking. We can help guide them. They may not have an end game yet. Most people don't. We've talked about this. Like I said,
guide who though? So we gotta be real specific. Guide the motherfuckers who say, "Oh, immigrants are all horrible and bad," or guide the fence straddlers who don't know where they lean.
The goal, first of all, is to learn how to organize and come together in peace without this immature emotional.
How do you come together with people who are like opposed to what the fuck you want to do,
bro?
I think straight up though, that's the whole point though, guys, is that we sitting up here focusing on what we don't agree with. All we should be talking about is what we do agree and how we're going to do what we do agree. Why are we talking about what we don't agree just to argue? Okay, we don't agree with ADOS, then why are we talking about ADOS? You agree with nationhood, we agree with nationhood. That's what we should be talking about. That's it. It's really that simple. It's really that simple. Why am I bringing a conversation into a group that the group clearly doesn't identify with? Or vice versa. But we do have things that we agree on. That's what we need to focus on. It's the shit that we agree on. So these things don't happen.
Yeah, and that's the point. And also, I would like to emphasize, Ron, nobody's changing our vision. We're not changing our vision. We can help guide them. Like I said, help guide them. Because that's one of the biggest things. Like I said, I got a student leadership handbook. One of the biggest things is know your values and know the vision. If we give them the vision and we're actually doing it, there are people who in ADOS who will say, "Hey, yo, maybe let's check them out. Maybe that's how I'm like." We've said this. We talked about this in the stream earlier. Once we get Liberia up and going, people are just going to come over there. That can be regular black people who were once part of ADOS and FBA. They may change their minds. We may not know, but I think that is something to at least consider. You don't have to agree. Like I said, we don't have to agree on everything. Okay. And like Umoja said, we got to focus on what we do agree on. If an ADOS person says, "Hey, I'm willing to listen to you guys, even willing to join or solely go on this journey with you," I'd be willing to. Because at least they're trying. You have to give people respect for trying. Now I understand.
You gotta find people who are trying. That's all I'm saying. You just gotta find people who are trying, not disingenuous assholes crying about shit.
And
you gotta find people who are
trying. What I'm telling you is when you get on the ground and you're really trying to find people like I do, you're gonna find people who are at that moment led astray, maybe a part of different groups.
And they get cut off, like I mentioned earlier, deaded.
You don't
not in the initial stages.
But see, that's not nation. But see, I understand. Like I said, we have to factor in. Okay, even when we're in Liberia, there are gonna be Liberians who may not necessarily agree with us either. But we're gonna have to work with them. It's what comes with the territory. It's
and
gonna
if
be
you let a brother like that last brother continue to speak when you're Liberian, you in covenant groups, your whole shit's gonna fall because he's gonna burn a bridge that could have just been talked out.
Like I understand, like I said, I recognize, and it's the same thing when I talk about history. And we had, like I said, I've had conversations with people, like I said, all the time about this. Is you understand all facets. You don't have to agree. You have to understand all facets and at least understand. Are there Liberians who oppose dual citizenship? Yes. I talked about the video. There were those who support. I get it, but we have to hear them out and actually talk about them. Now, if they're coming in condescending and insulting, then okay, we can like that other one when he was talking about making like straw man arguments, talking about, oh, if they commit a thing, they'll come over here. Then we can talk about that. But if somebody says I'm against dual citizenship, but I don't really know what that means, can you tell me what this means? Or I'm not familiar with what particular aspect. I read your about page and you said this. What exactly does this mean? I'm willing to do that.
But the thing is, there's qualifiers, right? So they actually read the about page and came general like, "Hey man, I don't know what this means." Then you explain. Not, "Oh well, I don't like this and you need to conform." Nope.
Bro, this is the second time I've joined, bro. I've read the about page. I went through the entire website. Everything is not
Great
clear.
for you. Now teach it to your people.
Hold on. Let him finish.
I just want to make a point. Listen to this brother, man. He can't even hear a period before he starts fucking emotionally responding. Stop that.
Oh yes. Projection is a motherfucker, isn't it? But anyway, Dan Calloway is a good guy, right? Dan Calloway is a good guy, right?
Look, man, like if you know Dane Calloway personally, you sit down and had a beer and talk to the dude, shoot, that good ups with you, man. But
I don't have beers with people spreading information. I'm sorry.
All right, bro. What I do? Stop crying. I do. I'm not soft skinned like you.
Also, not everybody.
Soft skin. This nigga crying about people talking bad about Adolf. So he wants to say soft skin.
One crying. You can't even be quiet for
Hold on. I really want to hopefully end this live stream on some positive note and some conclusion and some agreements, please. We've been on. I understand. I know this has been way past our time.
3 hours. Motherfucker crying about Adolf.
We've been on here for 3 hours. I get it. I understand. We're trying to get everything out. I understand. He says, but none of us are reading the about page. If you don't understand, ask a specific question. BL is all about having conversations, and I do agree. But I also think I'll talk about that personally in the chat. Or I'll speak to you guys about it. But I think the last thing that hopefully we can come to some sort of resolution is I get it, like I said, but also you got to understand. He said if land infrastructure isn't their end game, then end of story. He says where ADOS and the FBA when we did a live stream about the upgrades that can be made about the infrastructure on Liberia. Well, they may not have heard about it. Some of them. I'm being genuine here. Now, obviously, there could be some that don't care, but I'm being genuine here. Okay, I'm being genuine. If land infrastructure is their end game, what if it is their end game, but they say, hey, it may be here? We can try to convert them. We can try to convert them. No, that's not the best way to go.
Thank you.
But their end game, they're in the right direction. We all have been in that direction. We've all been in that situation, and I think that's the important thing. I may be the odd one out, but that's personally me. I understand that.
You're the only one who really knows how to work this shit. Don't say odd man.
He was somebody that,
you understand.
Hang on. Because it's kind of sounding. Because now I'm hearing it's like, oh no, the people in the BIO don't know how to talk. Wait a minute. I don't think that is fair for you to even utter that. When you hold on, can I say something, please, bro? Please. Yeah, please. I've been sitting here listening, man. When somebody else talks, you can't then just start interrupting, right? But you can't say that when you've been on the live stream for over an hour with the BAIO, bro. And we have let you talk and talk and talk and talk. You have had your space to say whatever you want to say.
I just
right. So honest. you then can't turn that and say, oh yeah, y'all can't talk and have a conversation. What the fuck? That's what we doing. Just because we don't agree on everything, don't mean that we're not having a conversation.
If I
you feel me?
Get on to make a particular statement, and then for the next hour we're arguing about something that's not even what I was trying to say, then I have not had a chance to talk. I have just had to defend myself from those who attacked me when what I said didn't sound perfect to them. I was never trying to talk about no ADOS. I was never trying to talk about no Dane Calloway. I was never trying to talk about no reparations. I was making a point to be careful. Let's not start offending and separating ourselves from other groups that because they happen to be in the room. And as soon as I said, let's not offend these people, blah, 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 blah. So no, I did not get it.
You've been here, literally, you've been talking the whole time. What the fuck do you mean? Do we really have to replay this shit and listen to you talk?
Even right now,
get the fuck out of here, bro. You full of shit. I'm sorry.
Right
you full
now,
of shit.
Somebody is yelling. I am still maintaining.
And you still fucking running your mouth. Like you Moja talk. You Moja trying to talk and you still come on some bullshit.
Bro, you can rewind the last 5-10 minutes. You're the only person who keep
you brought up Dane Calloway. You've been you telling us not to say anything about ADOS. That was you. Then when you get pressed on it, then all of a sudden you turn that whole experience into yourself.
With all due respect,
defending the whole group
I'll mute myself and you mute yourself.
Please, give us that pleasure. Do us a solid. Go ahead, you Moja.
That's all. I was just making the point that the live stream is open for anybody to come on and talk. Just because we don't agree doesn't mean that we don't want you to talk, right? And I kept having to come in and out because I'm out and about right now, so I don't know how we got on certain conversations and discussions but like we're open to hear anything. But what we're not open to is talking about something that don't have to do with the BAIO, right? Like the idea, like, and most of the stuff we have already touched. Like when you say, oh, we need to work with the other organizations. We believe that. We believe that. However, the other organizations have no interest in what we're talking about. So we're not going to be worried about them and trying to get them to come on board when they don't give a damn. When they want to build in America. That's it. Can I have some ketchup, please? Some ketchup, please?
That's okay.
But yeah. That's it, really. I just don't see the point of us arguing.
So also, I want to let everyone make their last points so that we can go, because I don't want people to be on forever. I want people to make their last points. I want everybody to get their opinion. Ronan said, point taken, Jabari, yet they were constantly trolling our live streams ever since I've been here for 4 years, and before that, naysayers throwing poison darts. Well, if they're naysayers in there, they're not interested. That I'm talking about people who are willing or interested, or people who are who that like that. I'm not talking about the naysayers. The naysayers, they're not going to support us either way. Okay, naysayers, they're not going to support us either way. If they're firmly against us, they're going to be firmly against us. But there are some who are willing, and if they're willing, that's okay. But yeah, he said, please, with the over explaining and the condescending. I guess,
Man, just contribute something constructive and stop all that. Man, that's just ridiculous.
I agree. Now, anybody else? Okay, I'm about to mute my mic. We can go. I can go, whoever can go first. Please make their statements not condescending, not loud, or I think please just let's all make our statements. Let's get everything out, our last statements, and then we can end the live. If nobody else has any last statements, I'll make the final remarks, and then we can end the live stream.
I do. I want to say that the BIO is really clear about what our mission is, what our vision is. And just like in any organization, on any team, you're not going to like everybody. I promise you, us in our own groups, we don't agree with each other on every single thing. We really don't. We always, we will disagree and we will move on. But the idea is to place principles over the personalities, meaning the mission is bigger than the people. The mission is bigger than Umoja. The mission is bigger than Jabari. The mission is bigger than whoever is on this live stream. It really is. But we as a people, we like to just cling on to stuff. And then when I disagree with something, it makes it seem like I'm disagreeing with you as a human being. That's how we seem to take it. And then we project that. You know, and I'm talking about all of us. You can get all of us on a certain thing and we'll all have a similar reaction. We'll get triggered and we'll want to go off the handle. We're emotional people, right? However, that doesn't mean you just generalize everybody like, see, y'all just this and y'all just that. And it's like, that's not the truth, man. Place principles, the principles of what we're trying to do over the individuals. Like straight up, because truth be told, we're going to need some fiery motherfuckers in the group. Now we're going to need some people who are more political and more gentle in the group. But we don't just need everybody just not going to be level-headed and just calm and patient all the time. That's just not reality. We're adults here, and sometimes people going to act a damn fool. That's okay. We still come to the table, eat, drink, and be motherfucking merry, because we got a job to do. So place principles before personalities. That's my last statement.
I have a statement.
Go ahead, Baruti. Baruti, are you still there?
I'm here.
You're going in and out. Okay, you're I can hear you now.
Oh, okay, all right. I want to thank everybody for allowing me to be on the platform. I enjoyed it and discuss this. Really?
We can hear you now. We can hear you now.
Okay. All right. Thanks everybody for giving me an opportunity to share some ideas with you. I appreciate it. It seems like to me that if there's a market out here that the BAIO can get in terms of populace of people, then it's going to be a race to the finish versus these other groups who have their platforms also. So it seems to me that what has to happen would be that even though the talking points are great, and certainly I believe in what the BAIO fundamentally is talking about, I think there's just going to have to be some tangibles that are gotten. For example, if the BAIO secured, say, dual citizenship agenda in Liberia, where you could confirm that the Liberian government is giving dual citizenship, then if you debated some so-called ADOS groups, and it was just a matter of people listening to the platform, the BAIO can say, hey, yesterday or the month before, Liberia has granted dual citizenship. This is how you apply for it. This is the paperwork. So that hearts toward that, because they see, they see tangibles. Maybe that's what it's, all about. So that was just my 2 cents. Thanks.
And the last ones are Holla, Black Messiah, Black Wilson. I'll go with the Black Mr. Wilson.
I'll say this. BIO has boots on the ground, not just hashtags online. Look, Jabari, for example, has made connections that people with close to the Liberian government. Like we're not just screaming into the void here. We have an actual end game. And if black people having their own shit isn't the end all be all selling point for you, maybe this is not the organization or the place for you. Point blank period. We trying to establish some shit so everybody can benefit, but I'm sorry, not everybody can come on the initial journey because you're kind of just useless. I end my time.
Yeah, I'm gonna speak before I get out of here, and there's a lot of things that's been said, but I'm not even gonna get into it. All I'm gonna say is clearly that you guys have to hear people out and make sure you're looking for understanding, and that we are not emotionally responding to people because they might say it in a different way. It might come across wrong, but you need to give your fellow brother and sister the benefit of the doubt that they mean well and try to understand what they're saying, try to understand, translate, try to comprehend their language, however, you know what I'm saying? And that's all this came from. This whole conversation and the argument that we've been on for hours really just came from a brother trying to say, hey, let's not cut ties that have been established. I understand that the groups generally have philosophies or ideologies or missions that are generally different. But within these bodies, within these separate groups, there are certain members who are kind of in the middle. That is, there's members who are down with reparation, but feel that there needs to be more of a focus on land infrastructure and nationhood. Maybe the application of reparation towards land infrastructure and nationhood. We got to find these middle grounds. We're trying to come together. Division and conquer is what destroyed us. We need to reverse that. That means we need to be focusing on unity. When you put together a puzzle, the reason that it ultimately comes together is because every single piece has a particular side of it that is designed to fit with another part or piece of the puzzle. You don't have a bunch of puzzle pieces that are all perfectly the same shape. It won't work. There needs to be a part of the BAIO that's open to people with difference of opinions, because that just like myself, I have a difference of opinion with you guys, but when it comes to land infrastructure and nationhood, I'm all into that. And not only, but I'm willing to put aside reparations. I'm willing to put aside some of these other things for land infrastructure and nationhood, because I believe it's at the top. I believe it's most important. But I'm not going to cut ties with certain people who I've met who are in other groups who are good people. They're just a part of a group that, we just don't see eye to eye. And that's all I'm going to say.
Agreed. Last one. If you don't have anything else to say, I'll give my last 2 cents and then I'll close out the live.
I have something to say.
Go ahead.
First, I just want to address the myriad of straw men that have been thrown out here. Name one person in BAIO that we've asked to cut ties with anybody. People in the BAIO are Christians. People in the BAIO are Muslim. People in the BAIO, maybe even ADOS or FBA on their own time. But we have not asked any person to cut ties with the BAIO. Another straw man is that we expect everybody to agree 100% with everything. We have Sunday discussions where we go at it, our internal discussions, where we have disagreements on strategies and tactics. I have no problem with that. And most of the people in the BIO have no problem with that. We've had fierce discussions, and then at the end of it, we all show love toward each other. And I'll use our success ratio with new members. Out of the 100% of new members that come into the BAO, how many of them have a problem with us? How many? So I just want to address those straw men because those are obvious straw mans, because it's producing a position that we have not even taken. There's always going to be disagreement on strategies and tactics, but there cannot be a disagreement on principles. And excuse me, I'm getting distracted by this Never Marian chick in the chat room who's completely disingenuous. And like I said, I'm totally comfortable with stating that in an open forum. This is a woman who decided that she was going to come into the BAIO and then get inside the internal chats of the BAIO and then ask, hey, what's the BAIO about? What's the goals of the BAIO? What are you guys about? And this is somebody that I'm supposed to take seriously. Like I said, it's fairly obvious to the people who know who we are and who have spent time around us. It's only the people that have not spent time around us, the people that's not in our internal chats, the people who are coming. Like the only time you hear from these people is when we have a live stream. But nobody's taking the time out to actually communicate with us. We have good people in this group. And the mere fact that somebody was allowed to get on our live stream and talk for the amount of time that they did, and then turn around and then say that we don't allow people to talk, I just let y'all decide. We didn't shut anybody off. We allowed him to talk, just like we allow everybody to talk. That's not a mistake. And you're talking about something that you know nothing about. That wasn't a mistake. You're going to come into a group where you know nothing about the group saying, oh, I want to be the secretary. And then once you say you want to be the secretary, then you start asking what the group is about. And don't make it seem as if I'm just speaking for myself. Everybody in the BAIO had a problem with that. Everybody. If somebody didn't have a problem with that that's in this chat room, let me know. Am I just speaking for Hollop? Or am I speaking for everybody that was in that chat? Because everybody universally said the same thing. And then this same person is going to talk about agents? Come on, man. Like I said, I feel very comfortable with my position. And my position is this. And thank God we don't have, like, I'm not King Hollop. I'm not the T'Challa of nationhood. I'm just a member. So I'm giving you my thoughts and my opinions. I've been in this game for about 30 years, dealing with the conscious community, dealing with the cultural conscious community. And this is what the conclusion that I've come to in terms of navigating these waters. Connect with people of like mind, people that agree on hardcore principles and an end game. We have enough of those people in the BAIO that we can do. We're going to be going to Liberia together. We went to Rwanda together. There's people, like he said, like Mr. Black Wilson said, that's on the continent that have repatriated to every African country that you can think of. So everything that everybody says that we're not doing, we're currently doing. So what's the bone of contention? I just said, me personally, if you don't agree with the principles of, if you read that About Us section and you don't agree with it, find another organization. At the initial planning stages of what we're trying to do, you can't be involved. I didn't say that I'm banishing you to the cursed earth. I'm just saying we can't fuck with you when it comes to what we're trying to do now. That's all. And if there's any BAIO members that want to talk to their ADOS, if there's BAIO members that want to talk to Christians in their family, you want to talk to atheists in your family, you want to talk to Jews or people that follow Judaism in your family, there's nobody telling you that you can't communicate with those people and try to bring them into the BAIO. Nobody's saying that we're going to reject anybody that wants to be down with what the BAIO is doing. What we're saying is, if you are diametrically opposed to what we're doing, we don't have time for you. I think that that's fair. That's fair. And maybe you should. You know what? The Black Messiah, you should find another organization.
How
You should. I'm comfortable with you being gone. I'm totally comfortable. If you feel that this isn't working for you, find another organization.
Yeah,
Because I don't think, Jabari, am I saying anything that's unreasonable? Like, if you don't agree with what we're trying to do, find another organization. What's the problem?
The only thing, here's the last thing I'm going to say. My last thing is saying is, if you agree with the principles of what we are saying, then you are welcome to join the group. And like I said, there are
Thank
layers
you.
and there are layers and levels to this. Like I said, you can be an ordinary member. You can be you can be any of the, you can do any leadership position, or you can do any role. And also, I want to say this. I want to say that nobody in the BIO says we don't have a top-down hierarchy. You could go talk to your people and let them join the BIO. We talked about this. And so for me, all of this to me is really unnecessary. But like I said, I'm more diplomatic. I'm more, empathetic. I'm much more, like I said, willing to talk. That's just who I am. So
And you know what,
maybe
Jabari? You know what? I'm getting a little bit tired of this Black Messiah dude saying how we're being divisive, where he was the one that made this a divisive conversation. He's the one. We didn't do it. He did it. He introduced this whole concept and took the whole conversation left. Let's keep it real. And then he comes in and tries to play the divide and conquer, like, oh, Jabari, you're the one that you got to get rid of these other guys. They don't know what to. Come on, man. What do you think? You playing with children here? This is ridiculous, man. It's like, come on.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to be this long. I really didn't expect this to happen.
Yeah, me neither.
Oh God.
But I'm comfortable, man. It's like I said, you come in here trying to fucking, like, we've had so many people do this shit, man. How come the vast majority of the people that come into BAIO come in, read the room, able to get along and be cool with everybody? Then there's always somebody that comes in with their bullshit. And it's usually from the outside coming in. They don't come around us. They don't communicate with us. We don't even know who the fuck these people are. They don't take the time to get to know anybody. But they come in shouting this, you need to do this, like, and giving orders and telling people what they should do. How about learn something about us? I speak to Jabari. I speak to Mr. Black Wilson. We have conversations. We talk about things other than just land infrastructure nationhood. We get to know the people in this organization. I'm very suspicious of people who want to come in and they want access to everything, but you don't want to talk to the membership. You don't want to get to know nobody. That's some disingenuous behavior, man. I'm sorry.
Flames made a good point. You have to follow before you can lead. And
exactly. And I think that one of the parts of being a leadership, you know who we would respect as a leader? Jabari. You know why? Because Jabari knows us. We know him. We talk to you every goddamn day.
You will see me. You know about me when
right.
Everybody knows who I am.
I can call Jabari up after this live stream is over and have a conversation with him. I can call Mr. Black Wilson up and have a conversation with him. I can call anybody that's in that chat room who's in our internal chats and have a conversation with. And actually, there's people who just came into the organization that I tried to call and they wouldn't return the call. But we ain't gonna talk about that, right? We ain't gonna talk about that. And these same people want to pretend like we're just shutting people down.
And like I said before, we said we are willing to accept disagreements. But like I said, it's the fundamental. Do you fundamentally agree with us? If you have a minor disagreement, but you support our ideas, go ahead. And my thing about it is simple. Just make it simple. Just make it simple. Just say, hey, hear everything out. And that's okay. And we get it and we can move on. But that's really all I gotta say. Make sure you tune into the lounge if you are a member. Make sure you sign up to the website. The link is registered down below. Peace, everybody. Thank you guys for being on there. Thank you, Baruti. Thank you, Mr. Black Wilson. Thank you, Emoja.
All right, peace. See you at the lounge.
Yeah, peace, Baruti. Hope we can see you there too.
Yeah, peace.
All right.